This is Atomic Shinobi, and today I'm going to narrate what if Naruto became Man of Steel. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, and subscribe to this channel. No wasting our time, let's start the story.
The third planet from a yellow sun is Earth, as Superman's body was placed in a space coffin created for him by the people of Earth. The people on this planet wept. The President of the United States said, "Today we send our adopted son back to the stars from which he came to rejoin his people. He leaves us with his memory, his inspiration, and his hope for a peaceful world for us and our future generations. We say goodbye to you, Superman. And thank you. You may be gone, but you will never be forgotten. May your legend live on forever." The space coffin was launched into space at that precise moment. Many years later, on a planet that resembled Earth, Superman's space coffin started to enter while a fierce conflict was raging between the Kyuubi no Kitsune and the Konoha ninja. When the space coffin flew over Minato's shoulder and slammed into the Kyuubi's body, the Kyuubi screamed in agony and rage as the coffin broke his collarbone, left shoulder bone, and damaged his heart. Gambunta was standing in front of the Kyuubi with the Yondaime Hokage, Minato Namikaze, holding his baby son, and Minato had just finished the hand signs to summon the Shinigami, who was now reaching for the Kyuubi's soul. With the now empty space coffin still stabbed into his chest, the Kyuubi started to limp away in agony and screamed, "Damn you humans, I will return and kill you all." The Sandaime Hokage saw the seal on Naruto's stomach glowing as it was setting. As he arrived next to the Yondaime's body, he picked him up and thought, but the Kyuubi alive and walking away, so what was sealed? "What happened, sir?" inquired Kakashi, who had just arrived. "I saw what looked like a meteorite slam into the Kyuubi's shoulder." The Sandaime replied, "Kakashi, take Naruto to my place and stay with him. Something was sealed inside him, but not the Kyuubi. It may have been Minato's soul, or maybe part of that meteor." "What will you tell the people?" inquired Kakashi. The Sandaime replied, "The truth. The Yondaime was going to seal the Kyuubi into an orphan child, but the meteorite slammed into the Kyuubi before he could, and so the Yondaime who had summoned the Shinigami still lost his life." Kakashi shushined away with Naruto and said, "Okay, I will take him now." After 5 years, a missing nin laughed and remarked, "First the Sandaime's son and now the Yondaime's son." As Naruto was holding the body of his adopted father, Asuma Sarutobi, in tears, he lifted the bloody kunai and slammed it down toward Naruto, who was staring at the kunai in terror as it struck his skin and broke into multiple pieces. In disbelief, the missing nin exclaimed, "What?" After Naruto overcame his fear and gave the man a scowl, the man began to scream as he felt a tremendous amount of heat on his head before it exploded. When he hurried over to check on Asuma, he noticed the wound to his heart. The Sandaime, who had entered just as the kunai broke, saw this and thought, "So another ability appears." He turned to look at Naruto with sadness, and Naruto sobbed, "He's gone. Gigi, Dad's dead. He killed him. He killed Dad and called me the Yondaime's son. Why?" As he shed a tear for the loss of his son and his grandson's innocence, the Sandaime held his adopted grandson and remarked, "The world is a cruel place, Naruto. Bad things happen to good people." After 10 years, the two individuals in his office caught the Sandaime Hokage's attention. A book about Icha Paradise was being read by Hitaki Kakashi. Junin Kurenai Yuhi, who had just been promoted, was standing next to him. A Anbu with a demon design on his mask and a swirl of leaves suddenly appeared in the room. The Sandaime exclaimed, "Ah, Oni, just who we were waiting on." "What is your orders, sir?" Oni asked in a neutral voice. The Sandaime took out a document and stated, "Naruto Sarutobi, age 15. Genin at age 5. Chunin at age 7. Sanin apprentice at the age of 8. Became a fire temple guard at the age of 10. Anbu at the age of 12 and Anbu captain at age 14. Mission history, 46S rank, 91A rank, 111B rank, 57C rank, 86D rank. You have never failed a missions. That is quite a record you have there. Oni, please remove your mask." Oni pulled back his cloak to reveal blonde spike hair with flat black hair mixed in, and he reached up to remove his mask, revealing blue eyes with black centers. "There, I never did like talking to you with that mask. I am sure you already know, Kakashi," said Sarutobi with a smile. While grinning, Naruto remarked, "It's good to see you again, Captain." Kakashi responded, "We're both the same rank now, Naruto. I am no longer your captain, but both your fathers would have been proud of you." Kakashi laughed when he realized what Naruto had just done, and Naruto nodded with a small smile before saying, "Naruto Sarutobi, and you are?" "Kurenai Yuhi Naruto-san," Kurenai said in a neutral yet courteous tone. Sarutobi was coughing and said, "Now the reason you are here, Naruto. I am removing you from Anbu and giving you a promotion to Junin." So what is it this time?" "Bastards on the council wouldn't let me out of Anbu without a pretty damn good excuse," Naruto said, turning his smile into a frown. Kurenai seemed perplexed and startled by the lack shown by Kakashi. Naruto is a special case Kurenai. He has several unique abilities that make him a good candidate for a lifetime Anbu operative, and the councils has been pushing for that since he was 5 years old and these abilities first appeared. It was only thanks to the Sandaime stepping in and passing several restrictions that you have to be at least a Chunin for a set amount of time that kept him from being drafted into the Anbu then. Naruto continued, and the buzzards have been abusing me ever since all those B rank and hires I did once I entered Anbu. Kakashi must think very highly of you for some reason if he goes out of his way to tell you about why I act like a jackass sometimes when the council is involved. So what's her story, Kakashi? Why the informal history lesson? Sarutobi stated, Kurenai here is a rookie Junin like yourself. Naruto 21 years old. She was rookie of the year her graduating class and graduated a year early. She is a genjutsu specialist and Naruto replied, she was Yakumo sensei for a little while. Also right now I remember where I heard your name from. Yes, remember when I mentioned having someone seal off her abilities, Kurenai? Well, the person I was referring to was Naruto here, Sarutobi said as Kurenai's eyes widened slightly and she turned to face Naruto. Naruto stated, but luckily I discovered another way out. Turns out her trouble was from a minor demon who was drawn to her powers of genjutsu and added to them to make her do his bidding. I encountered the demon and destroyed him. I understand her clan has taken her back in and has been helping her get stronger if I heard correctly. Kurenai returned her gaze to the Sandaime who nodded and, yes, she has. In fact she will be placed with a genin team this time around, which brings us to why you are here. I have already gave out the other team assignments this year, but I had 3 teams left. Team 7 is a must-pass team consisting of Sasuke Uchiha, Shikamaru Nara and Choji Akamichi, and as you have probably guessed, Kakashi, that is your team. Kurenai, I know you requested to have Hinata with your team, but the Kurama clan has asked that you take Yakumo again now that the problem has been taken care of. They have faith in you and your abilities. Kurenai, also Hinata has been requested by the Hyuga clan and the council to be placed on another team. Now Team 8 will be Kiba Inuzuka, Shino Aburame, and Yakumo Kurama, and that will be your team. Naruto sighed. So I got a Hyuga. What about the heiress to the Yamanaka clan? I was sure we were going to have a repeat of the Ino Shika Cho group. As he handed Naruto a folder, Sarutobi stated, at first, that was what I wanted, but the councils and clans have asked for a change of pace and made a number of strong arguments that have convinced me to give you this team. I see another have to pass Team so who do I kill to get this clusterfuck corrected, right? I mean, I see what the bastards are trying to do and I don't agree with it. Naruto took it, started reading it, and went to close the folder. Sarutobi replied, well, the council made the team's request but I approved it. He gave him a deadpan expression and replied, you're not above my wrath, Gramps. The council basically said these 3 girls are so useless, the only use they would be for the village as breeding stock, and they're wanting me to tie them down and fuck them. Give me one reason I shouldn't slaughter them and you for agreeing with this. Because I want you to prove the council is wrong about them, the Sandaime said, scowling as Kurenai turned to face Naruto and Sarutobi. Although I agree that the girls as they are now are little to no use because 2 of them are fangirls for the Uchiha and the other one has a lot of emotional baggage, I believe that you could change that though. Naruto was saying, so I get to screw the council by turning these girls into true ninja, is that my understanding? Fine, but I do it my way. I'll either turn them into proud kunoichi of Konoha or break them into so many pieces they will never be put back together, Naruto said after giving it some thought. Frightening Kurenai for Hinata's sake. Sarutobi nods. Naruto responded, good, if they don't quit today then they won't take a mission for the next 3 months. I also want the playground, after the Sandaime nodded. Are you sure, Naruto? I mean, isn't that a little dangerous? Asked Sarutobi, who paled as Kakashi snickered. Kurenai asked, looking perplexed, the playground. Kakashi stated, the playground is a code word for training ground 44, also known as the Forest of Death. Naruto calls it the playground because he was forced to become a shinobi after his stepfather, Asuma Sarutobi, was killed in front of him by a missing nin. The Sandaime was Naruto genin instructor and used training ground 44 to train Naruto. Called it his playground because while other kids were making friends and playing with rocks and sticks, he was playing with kunais and jutsu. It's his playground. While Kakashi was speaking, Naruto lifted him off his feet with a leg sweep and planted his foot on his chest. Enough. Why are you so hard up to make sure I don't piss the lady off? Naruto said. The council has made a motion that if you don't produce an heir by the time you're 18 they be allowed to turn you into breeding stock as well as the Uchiha, Kakashi said, glancing at the Sandaime from the floor, who sighed. Why the fuck are you letting the council get away with so much, Gramps? Why won't you let me kill them and get it over with? Roared Naruto, turning and slamming his fist into the desk, shattering it. Sarutobi stated, because they discovered the truth about who you really are. You and Konohamaru are the only family I have left in the world, and the council discovered the information I falsified to protect you and denying you your real name and all that comes with it. They told me that if I don't agree to certain things like this law and this genin team, they will publicly announce who you really are. Slumping into the chair in front of the Hokage desk and placing his feet on it, Naruto closed his eyes and uttered the words, "Damn it, I hate those bastards, especially the two old crones and the one-armed bastard." Naruto looked at Kurenai and replied, "My real name is Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze, son of the Yondaime Hokage of Konoha and Kushina Uzumaki, princess of Whirlpool Country. My mother was supposed to be given to Iwa to marry the Tsuchikage's son to solidify the peace agreement between Iwa and Whirlpool. She asked for amnesty here before the marriage and my father agreed and let her have it, and later they fell in love. If Iwa had found out that she was here, they would have demanded her to be handed over or start another war. If my identity was released, I would be forced to return to Whirlpool as the prince of that country and be used to marry someone in Iwa. The missing nin that killed my stepfather was from Iwa, and he only was listed in Iwa bingo book as a missing nin the week after he killed my dad, so we believe his attack was ordered by Iwa." Sarutobi stated, "I would also be removed from office and the council would elect another person as Hokage, since they would claim I was trying to start another war by interfering with foreign policies, and the person who would be most likely elected would be Danzo, who would turn Naruto into the village's secret weapon because of his special abilities." Kurenai looked at him and replied, "So I was allowed to know all this because you were trying to give Naruto a chance to maybe try and be with me." Kakashi said, "Sorry Kurenai, and it's nothing personal with you. But my sensei was the Yondaime, Naruto father, and I feel like his older brother, and as you heard, the Sandaime is his grandfather, so we are trying to give him a chance at a normal life instead of being forced into things like the council has been doing. The only chance he has is to find someone and fall in love with them in 3 years and produce an heir. Naruto not known to many since we tried to hide his achievements from the general population, which is why you most likely never heard or seen him before, and I am not trying to play matchmaker, but I didn't want you to get the wrong impression of him because of how the council are playing hardball tactics. Especially since I know of your relations with Hinata Hyuga from my friend Anko, and since Naruto and her are both being put in a bad situation as you heard, that you might go out of your way to make his life hell with the other females of the village since you were so well respected. If you blackball someone, then most of the village females would blackball that person as well, and with such a short deadline, being blackballed would make him having any normal life impossible. That is why the Sandaime and I are both trying to make you aware of why things are happening. What is so special about you that the council is going to so much effort for you?" Kurenai asked, letting out a sigh. After giving the Sandaime a quick glance, Naruto said, "It's your choice, Naruto." Naruto let out a sigh. The day the Kyuubi attacked Konoha, I was supposed to have it sealed in me by my father to save the village. Kurenai replied, "I know that, or at least we knew it was an orphan. I didn't know it was you." We learned that a meteorite hit the Kyuubi, making a jump back before he could complete the jutsu. Naruto continued, "Well, he had completed the jutsu, but something in that meteorite was absorbed into the seal, and for 4 years the seal drained whatever it was and gave it to me until it finished and went away. I should be either completely blonde hair or have red hair. Not black, and my eyes should be completely blue or green. Not black. Those are just a few of the changes that were caused by the sealing. Also there is this." When he thrust the kunai against his palms and it broke. Naruto stated, "My skin has become harder than steel. I have super hearing where I can hear a person heartbeat several hundred feet away. My eyes are special also. I can concentrate and send out a heat beam with my eyes that when focused on one spot can kill a person. The missing nin that killed my dad, when I activate the power, his head exploded from the heat. No wonder they want you to produce an heir. They believe it's a bloodline. Is there anything else?" Kurenai said in shock. Naruto replied, "No, there is 3 other abilities I have learned. I have one is I can move at speeds as fast as my father's Hiraishin jutsu. Another is the ability to fly." With a doubtful expression on her face, Kurenai said, "Fly." Naruto started to float in midair as her eyes widened. With a startled expression on his face, Naruto remarked, "My last ability is I can see up to 3 miles away and I can see through things." As Kurenai put it, "Like a Hyuga?" Naruto was saying, "Sort of. The Hyuga can see 360 around them and see a person chakra network. I can look at a person and see their organs, bones, veins, muscles and things like that." Kurenai narrowed her eyes and blinked before adding, "and cloths." Naruto stated, "It dispels any genjutsu placed on me also. That was how I was able to destroy the demon in your student. It is also how I know what you have one on right now and can see what you're hiding. Either of you even attempt it, I will use my heat vision on your balls." Besides, Kurenai only changed her clothes she really has on. She's not nude or anything like that. I say she was relaxing when she was summoned here, since it's just a pair of shorts and a t-shirt, so get your minds out of the gutters. Naruto said, turning to her and winking before turning to look at the two perverts. Kurenai quickly covered herself across her chest and her privates, causing Kakashi and the Sandame to raise their eyebrows. Kakashi questioned, then why did she act the way she did? As Kurenai flushed and pushed her hands away. According to Naruto, most likely because she doesn't want people to make fun of the gag gift Enko gave her she's wearing. Kurenai's expression was one of surprise as she said, "You know Enko?" Naruto replied, "Yeah, ask her about Superman." With wide eyes, Kurenai yelled, "Wait, you're Superman." Kurenai's eyes widened as Naruto took off his cloak, blushing, and she exclaimed, "Those can't be real." Kakashi replied, "Trust me, they're real." His body adapts to any training it gets and only increases without ever losing what it gains. Naruto replied, "Enough about me now. I don't give a flying fuck what the council thinks or what they try to pull now." Kurenai here is allowed a chance to make up her own mind what she thinks about me, and if she wants to blackball me with the woman of the village then she has every right to, because I don't intend to let the council get what they want and will fight it every way I can. If I have to mentally, emotionally, and physically destroy those three girls to do it, I will. But, Kurenai said. Naruto turned to her and replied, "No, Kurenai. These genin are our responsibilities. If we don't prepare them for the challenges they face, then they will die at an early age. Do you want their deaths on your conscience? The council has said those three girls on my team are so worthless that they don't even qualify as civilians, because the council could have as easily demanded me to be with civilian women. When they see that I haven't fucked their brains out after a little time to get to know them, they will promote them to chunin and send them to some whorehouse in another village to be a spy for the rest of their lives, most likely a small village where nothing of value or importance even matter. Just punishment for failing to seduce me. Do you think I should pamper them and take it easy on them? If so, then I feel sorry for you and your team, because they will die young and it will be your fault. Now if you will excuse me, I've got three girls to scar for life, and then. Sorry about my grandson Kurenai, it's just," Sarutobi said, coughing as Kurenai flushed. Kurenai interrupted him and replied, "Save it, Hokage-sama. As much as I hate to admit it and as much as I don't like it, he's right, but I have to ask, is he always so?" Says Kakashi. Headstrong, according to Sarutobi. Determined. Brash, Kakashi said. Idiot, Sarutobi said. Kurenai replied, "Well, all those, but I was going to say passionate. Most guys I know would jump at the chance he's been given, and he seems like he really is worried about those girls and their future." According to Sarutobi, it's not exactly worry but anger. Kurenai inquired, "What do you mean?" Sarutobi said, "He had a normal life until Asuma was killed, and he accidentally killed the missing nin. A death like Asuma can't be covered up, and so word had spread quickly about it, and the council found out that Naruto was the one who killed him somehow, which I am still not sure how they found out. They moved for him to begin training to use these abilities and the full extent of them. His abilities sparked enough interest that they were willing to hand him over to Danzo to be placed in Root, which is another Anbu division outside of my control. To protect him I was forced to take him as my apprentice and make him a genin. Within days of the only man he knew of as a father death, he learned he was adopted, a prince, the truth about the ceiling, and being forced to begin training to learn to kill at the age of 5. He never had a choice in the matter of the ceiling, he never had a choice in becoming a ninja, and he never had a choice of being basically a weapon to be used by the village. Now he's been ordered to take charge of those three girls who the council said are so weak they can't be of use as regular ninja, when his life's been forced to be a ninja and those girls had a choice in the matter, and they, for whatever reason, act as if it is just some game to the point the council sees them as useless. He considers them an insult to everything he was forced to sacrifice and will either make them shape up or ship out," Kurenai said, his lips pursed together. Kurenai closed her eyes and said, "Sir, I know it's not my place, but can you ask him one thing for me? Hinata is in a bad situation, and if she quits being a ninja her family will put the cagebird seal on her." Sarutobi nods. As Sarutobi put it, "Kurenai, I'll pass the message to him." Kurenai replied, "Thank you, Hokage-sama. I guess we better go get our students." Says Kakashi. You say something," he said. "I'll be there shortly. I've got something I need to do first," as Kurenai gave him a stern look. Kurenai nods before disappearing into a leaf whirl. Kakashi asked, "What do you think?" after she had left. According to Sarutobi, "I think we should let things play out for now." As he walked away, Kakashi nodded and said, "Understood, sir." Kurenai was shocked to see Naruto and the other senseis standing there at the academy. When she got there, Naruto remarked, "We have to wait until Iruka finishes his speech." With a nod, Kurenai said, "Naruto, according to Naruto, yeah." The words, "Don't be consumed by what you hate," were spoken by Kurenai, who bit her lip. Kurenai remarked, "Put that out, "You're too young to be smoking and it's not healthy for you, it will kill you," as Naruto snorted and took out a cigarette and lighter, lighting it up. After giving it some thought and taking a puff, Naruto remarked, "One could only hope Kurenai, at least then I would know I'm normal." It's not just the way others treat him when they find out about his abilities, Kurenai thought, his eyes widening. It's also the fact that he no longer calls himself human, she said, stepping in front of him, removing the cigarette from his lips, and declaring, "None of us are normal, we're ninjas." A few other Junin snickered when Naruto snorted and said, "Careful Ice Queen, I might start thinking you melting." Kurenai batted her eyelids at him, blushing, and said, "So you have a thing for older woman kid?" Naruto choked as he said, I quit being a kid when I was 5B. Women are not the only ones trained in the arts of seduction, my dear C. The question I should be asking is, are you into younger men because you have a reputation of shooting down those older than you and around your age? Do I need to ask the Hokage to keep an eye on your student-teacher relations?" This caused everyone in the room to giggle at Kurenai at his expense. The other Junins gaped at Naruto as Kurenai glared at him and said, "At least I don't have the council giving me 3 female genin to be my fuck toys." As Naruto walked past her and bumped her shoulder with his, causing her to wince, he said, "True, I admit that is what my genin team is given to me for, but if you want to see my response to this, then see what I am about to do to them." He then entered the classroom. With Kakashi absent, the other Junins started to stream into the room, and Naruto strode to the front of the class and yelled, "Team 10 front and center. I am a Junin assigned as the sensei of Team 10 unless you want me to fail your asses and send you back to the academy again for lessons about following your superior's orders, then I would step forward," Naruto said, as all the genin in the room stared at him as if he were insane. "It looks like I got a great team this time," Naruto said, glancing at Ino, Sakura, and Hinata as they stepped forward. "I mean, you 3 must be very proud of yourselves to have your clans and the council request you all be put on the same team. The first time 3 girls are put on the same team in our village's history. You must be really special, huh?" Both Sakura and Ino grinned proudly, and Sakura exclaimed, "Hell yeah, Shaw." Everyone in the room goes wide-eyed when Naruto nods and says, "I mean it. Your skills are so great that the council feels that the only use you 3 are to the future of this village are as sluts, bitches, and whores." Ino yelled, "What the hell? Who do you think you are talking to?" as Sakura and Ino both became embarrassed. Naruto started using some of his ki and said, "Shut up bimbo, or in the words of a real Kunoichi friend of mine, I'll be pulling your hair ass. I ride your ass." Your team was designed with one purpose in mind, to be used as breeding stock by me. Stuttering, Sakura said, "What?" Naruto replied, "That's right, cocksucker. The council and your clans in their infinite wisdom specifically asked for you 3 to be assigned to me as students because you suck so bad you don't even qualify as civilians, much less Kunoichi." "You're lying," Ino said angrily. Naruto replied, "Really? I just left a meeting with the Hokage who said that he is forced to agree with the council estimates on you 3. He told me to do with you as I see fit because you 3 are currently useless. He told me that the council wishes to breed my new bloodline as quickly as possible and that you 3 were chosen by them to produce heirs with my bloodline. The council could have asked a civilian to do the same thing since all I really need to do it is a hole with hair around it, but they thought that the civilians were too good to be used for this and so they chose you." By this time, all 3 of the girls were crying, so Naruto pulled out another cigarette, lit it, and exclaimed, "But?" Sakura asked, "But, with all the remaining hope despite being nearly destroyed?" Naruto blew out his smoke in their faces and said, "But he also told me that he sees something in you 3 that could become useful to this village in another way. He does not completely agree with the council and your clan's views as he believes that you 3 could become Kunoichi of Konoha. I don't know anything about you 3 and I don't want to know anything about you. From what I have heard, you are currently no better than 3 hookers. When you fuck a hooker, you don't want their names as bitch, slut, or whore is all you need to call them. I'm not wanting to spend my time with hookers when I could be trying to have a relationship with a beautifully, sexy, and skilled Kunoichi like Red Eyes over there. I am being paid to train 3 Kunoichi, not civilians, and not free pussy. Right now you have a choice. You can either accept the view the council and your clans have on you and turn your heat in right now and leave this room to try and become at least civilians to this village, or you can grow a backbone and tell the council and your clans to kiss your ass and prove them wrong and begin training under me. I won't baby you and I won't be your friend. I will run you into the ground where you will want to die, where you will think lying on your back and being fucked in a whorehouse would be better than the training I will put you through and earn not only my respect but also the Hokage, the council and your fellow ninja, both shinobi and kunoichi. I warn you though, I only get paid to train you to be kunoichi. If you decide to enter my training and decide you don't want to be a kunoichi or that you can't handle it, meaning I won't be paid for all the time I wasted on you, 3. I will take my payment out on you, taking every ounce of innocence you have and then take away your ability to have children or even be called woman. I'm going to walk out that door and walk to the front gate of the academy. When I see you 3 again, I either want to see civilians or kunoichi. I don't want to see sluts, bitches, or whores. If you walk out this building with those heat on, then that tells me you accept my rules for training your body belong to me to do with as I see fit. I will either mold you into proud kunoichi of Konoha or turn you into discarded trash that is useless to everyone and should be destroyed. It's your individual choice at this point. As he put his cigarette out on the desk behind him and walk out the door. Everyone was staring, and Kurenai thought, oh god, he's completely destroyed them. Hinata. She began to move, but saw Kakashi, who said, don't, this is something those 3 have to choose for themselves, as she felt a hand on her shoulder. Ino looked at Iruka and yelled, he's lying, he's got to be, we're not useless, are we, sensei? Kurenai glared at Kakashi. Of course you are, you're not even worthy of being civilians like he said. Your fangirls, you and Sakura, are so weak and pathetic that the council had to come up with some way to make up for all the funding they lost on you both. Iruka swallowed, and before he could say anything more, Sasuke said, then there is Hinata e Hyuga. The weakest clan in Konoha, even their fighting style shows they're weak. The gentle fist, please. You all nothing but weak, pathetic, failures. Look at Hinata. She's so ashamed of her weakness she He started coughed. With her head down, Hinata glared at Sasuke and said, shut up, just shut up, in a cold, defiant voice that shocked everyone. Hinata took a step back and said, my entire life everyone has told me that I am weak, a disgrace, useless. I'm tired of it. You think you're so great that you're something special when in truth, you're the weak one, the failure. You're so pathetic that Itachi couldn't even bring himself to kill you. If you ever say anything about me again, I will finish what Itachi started, while tears were streaming down her eyes. Kurenai moved forward and said, Hinata, in a kind voice as she turned and started stumbling toward the door. As she walked toward the door, Hinata shook her head and said, no, not now, not anymore. I'm tired of father, the elders, my family, the villagers, the council, the Hokage. I'm tired of everyone saying I'm nothing. I want to prove them wrong. As Sakura bit her lip and made her way to the door, Ino uttered the words, forehead. Sakura responded, she's right, Ino, I don't want people saying those things about me. I've acted no better than a slut chasing after Sasuke. Losing my friendship with you, changing my dream from being the first ninja in my family to impress Sasuke. Changing my likes and the way I act because it's what he wanted, for what to be seen as a useless, as no better than a baby factory. I don't want that life, Ino. I want to be someone my family could be proud of. He said he would train us to be real kunoichi, to be proud kunoichi of Konoha. That is what I want. I don't care what I have to do. I've already gave up everything for less. As she left. You, the red-eyed lady, is it true the things about the council, the Hokage, and my clan, did they really put me on a team just to be used like that? Ino asked, lowering her head as she glanced at Sakura pulling back. Kurenai sighed and replied, yes, from what I heard that was the general idea the council had for your team. The Hokage and your sensei want you to prove them wrong, though that was why they agreed to the team, but he had no right to tell you those things. It hurts to hear those things said about me. But it hurts worse knowing my father sees me that way. My dad is on the council, as are both my godfathers. And my 2 friends that I see as brothers, that they stood by and let me get to this point. Where I am a laughing stock, where all my dreams and all my hopes for the future are destroyed because it's too troublesome to say something. Or that I'm not bite-sized, that the guy I've crushed on sees me as nothing, the guy the first sacrificed so much for. Ino shook her head and said, it hurts to hear those things said about me, but it hurts worse knowing that my father sees me that way. Before turning around, she drove her sandal-covered foot into Sasuke nuts, causing him to choke out once more as his eyes rolled into the back of his head, making him wince. Ino sighed and said, I may hate him for saying those words to us, but I also respect him and want to thank him for doing it. I'm going to show my father, my so-called friends and family, the council, the Hokage, Dickless, Sensei, and most importantly myself, that I am a proud kunoichi of Konoha, that I'm not some kind of sex toy or eye candy. Now, if you will excuse me, but I'm going to meet my sensei and try to get my best friend back. As she left the room, Kurenai watched her go, saying, Kakashi, right now I don't know if I should kill him or thank him. Just tell him to stay out of my way for now, and that if anything happens to any of those 3 girls I'll kill him. Team 8, come with me. Kakashi shook his head, looking at Sasuke as he watched what was happening in the class with his X-ray vision and listened to what was said. Naruto stood outside the academy leaning against the walls of the support wall for the gate and thought. Ero Sanin was right, it's always the quiet ones you have to watch out for him. So Pinky was next. I thought she would be the follower of those two. Ouch, there goes the Uchiha clan. After leaving, Hinata approached Naruto, who held up his hand and motioned for her to wait. Sakura saw the signal as soon as she arrived and waited next to Hinata. A short while later, Ino left as well. Naruto looked at all three with a piercing gaze and he said, "So all three of you have decided you wish to be kunoichi. With some that might gain you their respect but not enough for me, because actions speak louder than words, and all your actions told me is that you might be more than I have been led to believe, but we will see in the future if you have what it takes or not." As he pushed off the walls and put his hands on his hips and said, "Now I am not here to train an individual person. I am here to train a team of kunoichi. That means that if you succeed or fail, then you are going to have to work with the other two girls here and support them as they support you. You will eat together, sleep together, bath together, breath together, live together, pass together, fail together, and die together. If one of you fails, all three of you fail. If one of you quits, all three of you quit. You must have inner strength and a strong will in yourself, and you must also have faith and trust in your teammates. If you don't have that, then you're not worth my time. I will give you one last chance to save yourself from my wrath should you decide that you either can't handle the pressure or that you can't trust the other two girls here with your life. If you can't, then hand me your head and leave," as he held out his hand. After the three girls looked at one another, Ino declared in a defiant tone, "We won't quit, we're not afraid of you." As he released a tiny quantity of ki, Naruto grinned and uttered, "You will be, you will be." Each of the girls began to gasp a little and Naruto stopped his ki and said, "Very well. From this moment on, you three are Team S. The S will depend on what you do in the future. Now here are the rules of the team. I will not give you individual instructions. I will give instructions to you as a team. I don't know your names and I don't want to know. I am not here to be your friend. I am your sensei, and as such you will refer to me as sensei. I will not give you my name because I only give it to those I respect. I don't care what clan you're from, what their views are, what they want you to learn or do. Those views and actions are what lead us here to this point. If you three are truly serious about this, then you will consider me the final word of power here. I do not want to be asked questions or hear your opinions or comments about my training. When I give orders, you will answer yes sensei or no sensei. You will not question my orders or training unless I ask you if there are any questions. I will not babysit you, as your life will depend on each other, not me. If I don't properly explain how to do something, then it means that you are supposed to think for yourself and figure out what is missing and learn those lessons you need to learn to become leaders who take charge of their life, not follow the orders of those who want to fuck you. I do not want to fuck you. I am being ordered to fuck you right now. You three are not worthy of my time, much less my love. Do you three understand what I am saying?" Every girl replied, "Yes sensei." Naruto replied, "Good. Now then, the first thing we are going to do is get you out of those hooker cloths you have on and get you some training cloths. This is not a shopping trip for you. I will take you to the store I shop at for my ninja supplies, and I will tell you what to pick out and you will get them and then change into them. We will then leave and begin training. You will not go home today or go get something you want to bring with you. We are going into what I call my personal playground. It is the most dangerous place in the Fire Country. It is a place with poisonous plants, killer insects, dangerous animals like wolves, bears, tigers, snakes, and other predators. There are also some minor demons in this place, and they would like nothing more than to eat you because demons find female virgin blood very appetizing, but they will settle just for female blood. I am not here to train little girls who need their mommy or daddy to hold their hands. Now do you understand?" Although you could hear a hint of fear in each of the girls' responses, Naruto replied, "Good, then follow me and do not speak unless I give you permission. You are not worthy of speaking to the people we are going to meet because the owner of this store was a true shibabi most of his life until he was injured, and his daughter is a true kunoichi who is just a year older than you three, but she has earned my respect. If they call me my name, you are not to use it until I personally give it to you." Naruto began to leave the academy. When Team S entered the Wolf Claw weapon store 20 minutes later, the man behind the counter grinned and asked, "Ah Naruto, how can I help you today, and who are these three?" "Hello Dustin, how are you today?" said Naruto. "Fine," Dustin said. According to Naruto, "The three behind me are a team. The council decided I needed to be of use to the village. You can probably read between the lines on that to understand what those needs are, since this is the first three female genin team ever." Each of the girls looked down at Dustin, who frowned and remarked, "I see, so what are you here for?" Naruto stated, "I brought these girls here to get some proper equipment and send the bill to the council. They want the Meta Series version 3 uniforms." With a choke, Dustin asked, "Are you sure?" Naruto nods, and Dustin enters the back and returns with 3 orange spandex outfits that are covered in pockets. Naruto then goes through the store and returns with 3 ninjata, 3 botans, free boxes of shurikens, free boxes of kunais, free bundles of ninja wire, free first aid kits, free blank scroll boxes, free bottles of sealing ink, free flint rocks, free sleeping bags, free trench knife sets, 6 weapon pouches, free Chunin-style vests, free weapon sharpening kits, free heavy-duty backpacks, and 3 scrolls that say kunoichi. According to Naruto, I think that will be everything. According to Dustin, a little bit of everything, huh? Naruto replied, yeah, you have the scrolls for those outfits, right? Dustin nods as Naruto turned to say, alright Team S. Here is 3 copies of everything you need. The outfits are one size fits all, and remember my rules. Now in the right corner of the room are the undergarment sections. I want you all to go and get 5 pairs of panties and 5 pair of boxers in your size, and then take one of everything here but the weapon pouches, since you need 2 of them, and go into the dressing room and put them on. I will not tell you how to get dressed, and if you're not able to dress yourself at your age, then I will kill you. The ninjutsu goes on your back, as does the botan. Now go. Dustin raised an eyebrow and said quietly, going a little rough on them, aren't you? As each of the girls hurriedly started to move, gather their equipment, and enter the dressing room. See if your gambling buddies can come up with anything, and if so, contact Kakashi, Naruto said quietly, looking around. 2 of them are heiresses of their clan. For the vindictive trio to get them in this without their clans objecting, something is up, and it's more than just breeding. By gambling booties you mean them, right? Dustin scowled. Dustin winced and said, all right, as Naruto gave him a scowl. I'll start working on that immediately. Thanks, Naruto said with a smile. When you submit the bill to the council, triple the order and create 3 unique pieces for the girls. I'll let you design them, but I want the entire set. When Dustin saw all 3 girls emerge wearing orange spandex outfits, black vests, and weapon pouches on each heap of the ninjutsu and botan over their left shoulders, he nodded and remarked, ah, now you look halfway like kunoichi. All right, said Naruto, did you arm yourselves or did you simply toss those weapons in your bag? If so, remove half of them and store them in your weapon pouch. Keep half of your weapons on hand at all times. Additionally, the scroll bearing the word kunoichi. It offers a year's worth of feminine hygiene products, including shampoo, soap, and binders. This was designed by Dustin daughter Tenten to save a kunoichi time and effort having to get these items while preparing for an emergency mission. Use your supplies sparingly because I have no idea how long your training will take. If it takes longer and you impress me, I'll buy you another scroll. You all understand now that your clothes are eye-catching, and you're probably wondering why orange. The reason for this is that you will need to defend yourself most of the time, and if you are separated in this area, you could easily be overlooked in other clothes. Wearing this orange will also make it easier for you to see each other. Additionally, you will hear people laughing, snickering, and talking about you as you move through the village. The same people who will do it in front of you have been doing it behind your back for years, which is why I chose these clothes. You will witness their responses to you and their perceptions of you today. Remember those looks, and stay quiet and alert. Please, you will also need to prove yourself to these people, so don't let them break you. Let's go now. Tell Tenten that I wish them luck with emo and youth, and CYA Dustin. Dustin replied, I will, and take care. When Team S was walking through the village, the girls heard the villagers whispering and snickering, and they were all about to erupt when Naruto said, enjoy it, use it later to help in your training. Remember those looks and how you're feeling right now when times get hard. It's not fair. I have these powers and abilities that make me different, and I could do so much for so many, but here I am destroying these 3 girls to make them into something they are not, and for what? He thought as he closed his eyes, recalling his grandfather's words. The world is a cruel place. Sometimes bad things happen to good people. The girls appeared perplexed as Naruto sighed and said, all right team, sit down now. I think I should start off by saying I'm sorry. They had arrived at the gates to the Forest of Death. What I said earlier was true, but the way I said it and the things I said shouldn't have been said to you, Naruto remarked. I think I can start by explaining what exactly enraged me, because you all know the story of how the Yondaime was going to seal the Kyuubi into a newborn child the day it attacked. The child was me. I was angry at you 3, the council, your clans, and the Hokage, my own parents, who passed away that day, offered me for use as a sacrifice for the village's safety, and Iwa missing Nin broke into our clan house, killed him in front of me, and then tried to kill me. Fortunately, my bloodline activated and I accidentally killed him, shocking the girls. I was adopted by Asuma Sarutobi, the Sandame's son, and lived with him until I was 5 years old, thinking he was my own father. The council wanted to know the full extent of my abilities and wanted me to receive special training to document the full extent of my bloodline, Naruto said, closing his eyes. In order for me to have a sensei I could trust and for the majority of my skills to remain clan secrets, the Sandame had to force me to become a genin, an apprentice. I trained under him and a part-time sensei in these same woods until I was 7 years old, at which point I was promoted and paired with my other sensei and 2 other chunins. A year later, the Uchiha massacre occurred, and people were afraid that, because I was regarded as a child prodigy like Itachi, I would lose my mind like he did for the next 2 years. I was removed from the village and taken in as an apprentice to my godfather Jiraiya of the Sannin. I became a fire temple guard after saving the Fire Lord's life. When I was 10 years old I worked for him for 2 years, and on my way back to Konoha, I found a chunin named Mizuki murdering another chunin. When the other nin was dead, Mizuki's teammates came back to stare at him, so I attacked him. He blamed me for the man's death, and I blamed Mizuki. We were both arrested and taken back to Konoha because I pretended to let the Hokage find out. Mizuki claimed he would fabricate the information to place the blame on my grandfather, the Hokage. When I asked your father Ino to enter Mizuki's mind, Mizuki replied that he wouldn't be treated like a criminal, and I couldn't allow him to do so because I was forbidden from discussing the Fire Lord's secrets. The Fire Lord himself ultimately reached a compromise when I was 12 years old. My commanding officer placed me in Enbu under watch, and 2 months later, Mizuki was killed when he attempted to steal the Forbidden Scroll and defect. The council wanted me to remain at Anbu for the rest of my life because of the scandal around me, and they wanted me there since I was 5 years old due to my ancestry. I was given my own squad and named Anbu captain when I was 14 years old. We move on to today, when I was told that the council had handpicked you 3 to be my team and had given me permission to leave Anbu. However, they also passed a law stating that I had until I was 18 to have an heir. I was upset with you 3 because you had the opportunity to be happy and lead normal lives, but instead of working hard to be proud ninjas, you allowed yourself to become so weak that the council thought you were better candidates to try to force me with. Even civilians when you had an option and made it, but then disregarded it, and I wasn't even given one. I took it as a slight to all that I had to give up in order to try to find some happiness in my life. When the 3 girls realized why he was upset, they were shocked and felt bad. Naruto then remarked, "But I think I should let 2 of you know why I am angry at your clans. I have worked with your father on multiple occasions, and I genuinely admire his ninja abilities. I'm upset with him because he used you to advance your clan rather than taking care of you as a daughter. This is one of my bloodline abilities," he said, drawing out a kunai and stabbing his hand, breaking the weapon. Naruto remarked, "I can withstand a lot of damage with minimal harm because my skin is almost as hard as steel. You can leave your body and let others take it over thanks to your clan bloodline, but doing so leaves your body exposed and makes you easily killable. Your father believes that if I were to give your clan that ability, it would give your future members greater protection. He consented to use you in this way. For that reason he views you not as a daughter but as a tool to be used for the benefit of your clan, and he thinks that the only thing you can do to make your clan better is to have stronger offspring." With her eyes closed, Ino thought, "I understand now," and he would do that. After glancing at Hinata, Naruto remarked, "Now you, Hinata. I'm at a loss for words because I know what your father was thinking. He wants to keep the cage bird seal away from you and your sister. He can prevent you from receiving the seal by enlisting you in a breeding program, which is overseen by the council and the Hokage. He can then designate your sister as the new heiress to protect her. The thing that irritates me is that your mother's death wasn't actually caused by childbirth. Rather, it was because the Hyuga elders forbade her from seeing a doctor outside the clan because they believed she was inferior. If your father had just grown a fucking pair of balls and stood up to the Hyuga elders, he could have saved his father's life, saved your mother's life, and united your clan without having to worry about you and your sister receiving the seal. Any doctor who performed a basic blood test on her would have discovered that she had a type of sugar diabetes that only occurs in pregnant women and is treatable with a straightforward prescription drug. A rift has formed within your clan as a result of their belief that they are inherently superior because they are from a clan, which is why Hiyashi put you in this predicament. And you Sakura, I am angry at your mother for lying to you," Naruto said, glancing first at Hinata, then Ino, and finally at Sakura. "Before you say that your first dream was to become the first ninja in your family, I've read that this was a lie from your mother, who encouraged you to pursue boys and not put in a lot of effort because she didn't want you to follow in your father's footsteps." In a startled tone, Sakura questioned, What do you mean?" Naruto was saying, "Sakura, your father is alive and is living in this village." Ino and Sakura both had wide eyes, and Sakura remarked, "But my mom told me that he died in the Kyuubi attack." "I wish the bastard did," snorted Naruto, one of the main jerks on the council who has been attempting to get me to be Konoha's secret weapon as him, and he's a royal pain in my ass. Because he knows you are his daughter and thinks he could use his parental rights to you to take control of the child after it is born. Your father nominated you for this team when he was almost selected to be the Sandaime Hokage. Only your mother, my grandfather, the two elders, and I are aware of his true last name, which is Danzo Haruno. When Danzo took over as the village's first Anbu Black Ops unit, the elders and the Sandane had all official records of it destroyed later. He established a second Anbu unit that dealt with all the true Black Ops that the village couldn't or wouldn't claim to do. Isn't that right, Danzo? He asked, turning to his left. After giving Naruto a quick glance, Danzo remarked, "You are too emotional to be an effective weapon of the village boy." "Thanks," said Naruto. "I enjoy knowing that you consider me a failure, so tell me what you want. I will not participate in the breeding program that you and the two elderly jerks desire." "That is what I wanted you to think we are after," Danzo said, coming to a stop 3 feet away from Naruto. "I have another goal in mind." Naruto replied, "And that is, and don't try to use that on me. You know it's useless on me." Sakura stutteringly said, "Are you really my father? You and I do not get along because we do not agree on how this village should be ruled," Danzo said, casting an emotionless glance at Sakura before turning back to Naruto. "My belief is in a strong, militaristic government, while yours is in the ways of peace that your grandfather poisoned your mind with. However, we both concur that protecting Konoha is of utmost importance to us. Breeding would be a bonus, but that can wait until another time. Your Highness, I assembled this team with a different goal in mind. The only thing that keeps me from killing you is the respect my grandfather has for you despite your darker actions, but even I have limits," Naruto said, glaring at Danzo. "You've been irritating me so much that I'm considering killing you before I burn down your personal forest. You one-armed bastard, tell me what you want." "I have heard that one of Sarutobi's failures has developed an interest in some of the more unique situations in the village," Danzo stated. "You are the only person in this village who is more adept at gathering information than Jiraiya or me. Even I must admit additionally, you are among the few individuals who could successfully lead a team on such missions. The best chance of finding this information and bringing it back is with this team. The breeding program was more of a stepping stone for another and a cover for you. A mind reader to enter enemy minds, a Hyuga to spy from a distance, and your daughter," Naruto said after giving it some thought. "I understand the first two, but not the third. Even though it is a small one, we Haruno have a bloodline," Danzo stated. "We get a photographic memory from a second personality. We automatically remember everything we see, hear, or read, which enables us to maintain perfect secrecy even when facing a Yamanaka. With the right training, she could recall the information this team finds and replicate it even if the other two were lost. But Suki has weakened her to the point where she is essentially useless and would die as she is now." "So you do have a heart, you sick bastard," Naruto said with a snort and a smirk. "You knew that by doing this trick, I would either turn them into the 3 greatest kunoichi of this village since Tsunade, or I would emotionally destroy them forever, making them quit. In any case, your daughter would be safer if she stopped being a ninja or learned self-defense techniques, but you can't bring yourself to acknowledge your feelings for her, can you? That would be an emotional reaction, and ninjas aren't supposed to have feelings, are they? Because we are ultimately nothing more than tools to be used and then thrown away. That's what you preach, right?" "I don't have a daughter," Danzo stated. "Only those who serve Konoha are my followers." Gazing up at the sky, Naruto declared, "I want 5 things." According to Danzo, and those are, "You know what Hinata's dream is from her file," Naruto said. "I want you to have that dream fully realized for her by the time I declare that they are prepared to start missions. You must be able to handle that. Somehow I want Ino to become Enko's unofficial apprentice and for her to be granted full Junin status. With her family history and her understanding of plants, Ino has the potential to become Konoha's next poison expert and investigation specialist. You won't run for office when Gramps resigns or dies, and Tsunade will take over as Godem Hokage. Long before you've ever sat in that chair, I'll kill you. Sakura should become Tsunade's apprentice, in my opinion. In a few years, Sakura's photographic memory and flawless chakra control could allow her to overtake Tsunade as a medical ninja. Additionally, you will relinquish all parental rights to her, enabling her to make her own decisions. The last thing I want is Sanin status, the freedom to date whoever I want, the ability to have children when I want, and the ability to use your political influence to reach a deal with that nation. I want you to agree that I won't be given to them in exchange for acknowledging the position of the feudal lords in that nation, which will cost me or my family 5% of the annual tax as long as I don't have to deal with them. The village will receive 1% of that tax to keep things running smoothly. Also, keep your distance from Gramps following the Chunin exams. I will request that he resign." After what seemed like a few moments of contemplation, Danzo asked, "How strong will they be?" "All 3 of them are just Sakura," Naruto said, glancing at them. Naruto retorted, "Individually at least high Chunin." As Danzo glared at him, "They will work together to outperform Junins. We are in agreement then Sarutobi, Danzo said, nodding. All right, Naruto said, then tell Aburame and Yamanaka in the woods to leave immediately before I kill them both and tear out your eye. You one-armed bastard, no one or anything should be sent to spy on us, either. Danzo remarked, very well, but I demand results. Naruto flipped Danzo off and said, here's your results. A word of advice, girls. Don't follow his example, Danzo said, turning to face the girls. You'll live longer, he said, turning to leave. Naruto turned back to the girls and shook his head, saying, dead man walking. Girls, look at me, look at me. Naruto sighed and let out a little key as Sakura, with tears in her eyes, looked where Danzo had left. His words, that was the devil of the Leaf Village, Danzo, captured their undivided attention. One of the 3 council elders and the head of Root, an Anbu unit not under Hokage authority. After hearing what we had to say, I would like each of you to let me know what you think of that man. Why don't you go first, Ino? Holding her arms, Ino uttered, I feel dirty because of him. Get used to that feeling, said Naruto with a snort. It's likely that you'll feel that way whenever you see him or even just think about him in the future. Do you have anything more to say? Naruto turned to face Hinata after Ino shook her head, and she asked, what was that deal you made with him? Danzo is a very dirty man, Naruto remarked. He is the one who would probably know about it or find out if there is something going on in the village that is illegal or that you want to stay hidden as long as a mission is accomplished. He doesn't give a damn how it is accomplished. What did you agree on about my dream? Inquired Hinata. Naruto remarked, he would be aware of anything going on. As I mentioned, therefore, I assumed that if someone had enough dirt, he would compel your clan to discard the cagebird seal. He has a couple Hyuga whose seal he removed working for him, so I know he has a way to get rid of that seal. Hinata's eyes widened as she said, he was also partially to blame for your abduction attempt. Indeed, he was the one who informed the Cloud Ambassador of the location of your room, Naruto remarked. Had your father not caught him fleeing with you, his Root would have apprehended the Cloud Ambassador and placed you in the Root training program, claiming that you were taken away by another Cloudnin. Of course, he could have simply returned you to your father and asked for a favor or two in exchange for saving you, while you would have forced Kumo to turn over the Nibi's Jinchuriki as restitution for their betrayal after erasing his memory of having the blueprints removed. After the 3 girls were taken aback, Ino remarked, he actually did that. Yes, but the issue with Danzo is that you can't prove it, or if you do, he has a way to use blackmail to get you to do nothing. Naruto remarked, he is skilled at hiding his tracks, at the very least to him. Failure is not an option. If you fail him, you're pretty much dead. Sakura inquired, why did you make a deal with him if he is so evil? Sakura, do you want to know how close that man was to being the Sandaime Hokage? 2 seconds, Naruto sighed. The Nidaime on the battlefield against Kumo when he lost his life. That day the Nidaime and 2 teams comprised of the Sandaime and the 2 elders and Danzo and his 2 teammates were on that mission and were being surrounded by Kumo. They realized one of them had to stay and hold the enemy back if the others were to survive, and so the Nidaime, who had already made the choice in his mind that he was going to stay, waited to see who was willing to sacrifice their life for the others to see who would be the next Hokage. Danzo let his emotions get in front of him for 2 seconds as he made peace with himself, and during that 2 seconds the Sandaime said he would do it. Ever since then Danzo has believed that emotions are the enemy of every ninja and has become obsessed with completing the mission, no matter the cost, and no emotional attachments. I don't know all the details of how him and your mom got together, as nobody but her and him know the truth, but what I do know is that after the Kyuubi attack and the Yondaime passed away, he became even more emotionally detached. Your mother hated it and hated him for it, and they separated in the end. You, Sakura, became little more than a chess piece to them. Your mother had it where he couldn't come near you, and he adopted an orphan son from the Kyuubi attack to show that he could raise a child. As he looked up at the sky, Sakura inquired, how do you know so much about it when even I don't know any of this? I'm good at gathering information, Naruto said, glancing at her. My grandfather, the Sandaime, hopes that I will become Hokage one day. Your stepbrother was a backup on my Anbu squad. According to Ino, alternative, I've only really worked with about 20 ninja out of all the ninja in the village. Naruto scowled. When I was promoted to captain, my Anbu team was the same team I had as a Chunin, but now I was in charge of them. In any case, my team can't always go on missions together due to other obligations, so I have a backup member in case one of them isn't available, and her brother is the one I have. After everything you 3 have been through together today, everything you have seen and heard, do you think you could go back to the lives you once had? Naruto asked the girls as he turned to face them. Do you really believe that you could live with your parents after seeing them? That they were trustworthy? Do you, Ino, think you could respect yourself and your father after he chose to use you to advance your clan? Do you, Hinata, think you could live with your clan without receiving the cagebird seal when you return and tell them you couldn't woo me? Could you trust your mother after discovering she's been lying to you all your life and that your father is such a person? When Naruto noticed that all three of the girls were thinking deeply and feeling down, he said, "That's why I struck a deal with him. I have made arrangements for Ino to become the unofficial apprentice of the woman who trained me when my grandfather was unable to do so as a genin, was also my Chunin team leader and a member of my Anbu squad. I know that Ino won't be able to handle living with her father after this is over. She is superior to your father and an expert in Konoha poisoning. She is the second in command of the village Anbu, directly under Ibiki Morino. Then, Hinata, do you really think you could live with Hiyashi as a family once your clan is united? Knowing that he has deliberately damaged you emotionally over the years to buy time to protect your sister, and his ultimate plan to save you both was to turn you into a baby factory," said Naruto. "In order for you to either become the head of the clan or leave the Hyuga clan and start a new life for yourself and protect yourself, I intend to teach you enough to be able to argue with your father and prove to him how wrong he is about you. And you, Sakura, neither of your parents cared about you as a person, and they both wanted to use you as a weapon against your other parent," Naruto remarked. "Your father wanted to use you as a baby factory at his orders to demonstrate to your mother that he could do anything he wanted to you, even if he wasn't in your life, as your mother asked the Hokage to do. Your mother wanted you to be so weak that you would be viewed as an insult to your father. You will demonstrate to your mother that you are a respected kunoichi and not just a weak little girl by becoming the Godem Hokage apprentice. You will also learn lessons that my grandfather believes in, which Danzo does not agree with. In this way, you will be slapping your father in the face and demonstrating that you are not his little toy to be used against your mother. In the end, all three of you would be able to hold your heads up with honor and dignity and become respected kunoichi in the eyes of the village. Something that has been taken away from you by your families as your sensei. That is what I will do, of course. The apprentice's part is merely a choice in order to decide whether to hire you as an apprentice. Tsunade and Anko will both want to see you for themselves. I only made it so that Danzo wouldn't try to block you when I asked them to consider you for a position as an apprentice. Although Danzo is the council's unofficial leader, the Sandame is the Hokage." The three girls' admiration for Naruto skyrocketed to almost fanatical proportions, and their resolve increased as they all stood erect and greeted him with, "Hi sensei." When Naruto saw this, he opened the gates and ushered the three girls inside, saying, "Good, not follow me into our new home." Naruto stopped in a clearing with a small stream flowing through it after 2 hours of walking through the woods. "All right, team, this will be our base of operations," Naruto said. "We will have 3 rotations and divide the work into 3 sections. As long as you are a team, this rotation will serve as the foundation for how your teamwork is organized. Day 1 is today, so when I tell you to start, you will receive enough firewood to last you through the day and night and enough to make breakfast with tomorrow's Sakura. You will also receive water and Hinata, and since you will be the cook on day 1, you will need to catch, clean, and prepare the meals today. Now, on day 2, Sakura will cook while Ino gets water and Hinata firewood. On day 3, Ino will cook while Hinata water and Sakura firewood are available. These are your responsibilities now, and you must ensure that you have enough to last until breakfast the following day. As we move on to the nightly watch, day 1 means that Hinata will watch first tonight, followed by Ino, and Sakura, since you have to cook in the morning, will watch third. On day 2, Sakura will receive the first watch because she will be up the longest tomorrow, followed by Hinata's second and Ino's final watches. In the same way, Ino will receive the first, second, and third watches because she will be up the longest, allowing her to get up and begin preparing to cook. Since each watch will last 3 hours, you will sleep for a total of 6 hours during a 10-hour night. Do you all get it? Sakura inquired. Excuse me sensei, but if we each have 3-hour shift, then why is it a 10-hour night instead of 9 hours? That is a very painful lesson that I will be testing you on in the future to see if you 3 can figure it out, Naruto said with a sadistic smirk. I won't be around to watch you sleep anymore, so you better take your responsibilities and self-defense seriously or you won't wake up. You 3 are on the menu for creatures in this forest that only emerge at night to hunt food, frightening the girls. Now, on to your training duties, Naruto said. You will start your training after completing your tasks in camp. Here is what this training will entail. You'll perform 1 push-upa, and I don't mean a girly one. Your knees, that is, are off the ground. You will then perform a sit-up, a jumping jack, and throw a kunai and a shuriken at a target I will set up. Once you have retrieved them, you will run a full lap around this clearing, circling the trees, going around the inside of one tree to the outside of the next. You will then use chakra to run up a tree like this, he said, startling Sakura and Ino as he turned and ran up a tree. You use chakra to stick to the tree. Too much and you blow off, not enough and you won't stick, he said after he descended again. To equal 1, You will descend the tree once 2 punching bags will be set up by me. You will punch the small one once with each fista, I mean the first Hinata. After that, you will kick into the big back with each leg. You will also need to cut those wooden botans from left to right to left, top to bottom to top, upper left to lower right to upper left to lower left, and lower left to upper right. I will also be putting up a human-looking dummy once you've completed each of those 1 turns. You'll return to this clearing and repeat the process twice. I don't mean once. I mean once you'll complete 1 turn of everything, then you'll return and complete another turn, and so on. You will continue doing this until you have completed 10 of each exercise. I'll be reading aloud from a book about today's topic while you're doing this. After you complete your 10 turns, you will come to me and I will ask you a question, so you will have to listen to me read while you complete your exercises. You will go back and repeat step 9 of everything if you get it right. If you make a mistake, you will have to redo everything 10 times. You'll continue doing this until you reach 1, which will grant you access to today's easier exercise. I will stop reading for the day once one of you reaches 1 and correctly answers the question. The other 2 won't have to answer any more questions today, but they will still need to reduce the number of exercises they're doing. Ino replied, so our exercise is only to do 10 of everything. No Ino, if we get every question right then by the end of the day we will have done 100 of every exercise, Sakura said, her eyes narrowed. Very good Sakura, Naruto remarked before beginning the training. The majority of people genuinely have the same thoughts that Ino did just a moment ago. I learned this training technique from my godfather. It is made to tone your muscles and prevent you from overworking 1 set of muscles at a time. Most people believe they need to gain muscle mass when they train to get stronger, but this is foolish because it limits your flexibility and slows you down. These exercises will tone your muscles while gradually increasing your muscle mass, which is dangerous for a ninja. Along with improving your strength, endurance, speed, and stamina, having to listen to me will also help you learn how to multitask and pay attention to your surroundings. Additionally, you will have time to replenish your chakra reserves in between tree climbing groups, preventing the possibility of chakra exhaustion. In addition, I will toss a rubber ball at one or all of you at random. You will lose all of your progress in the set you were on and have to start over if I throw it at you and it hits you. For example, if you were on the 10-lap set and you reached 7 when a ball hit you, you would have to start over at 1. But I don't want you to avoid the situation. Use the replacement jutsu. Please, you can avoid thrown objects like kunai and shurikens by learning to detect and dodge the ball at first. I won't throw the balls very hard, but as you improve your training, I'll do it more quickly. When Naruto noticed that the girls were paying attention, he said, I'll now ask the question. Since it's Monday, on Sunday, when you wake up, we'll go to the tower in the middle of the forest for additional training. I'll also make you a large breakfast, and you'll complete a written test covering the material I've read to you and the material you've read on your own. I'll leave the book I was reading here every day so that each of you can review it and commit the information to memory after your training. Before Sunday, you will safeguard the books and commit all 6 of the books I leave here to memory. Following your breakfast and written exam, you will practice kenjutsu and dodging techniques to improve your sword skills and teamwork. You will once more eat a meal that I have prepared for you at dinner, but the dessert will be chosen by the person who correctly answers the most questions on their written test over the course of the week. Cinnabons will be your entire dessert if Hinata prevails. Chocolate cake for Ino and cherry cheesecake for Sakura. Although you will have to share a room in the tower, you will also have your own bed and a hot bath. After dinner we'll rise at around 5 in the morning, which is when you typically train, and return here to begin your training anew. The 3 girls' eyes widened at this point, and Naruto uttered the words, now, one more thing. You'll be working out with weights. The number 10 indicates how many weights you must lift on each arm and leg in addition to how many of each exercise you must perform. Every Monday, we will increase the weight on each limb by 10 pounds until we reach 100 pounds on each limb. Since a bag of potatoes weighs 10 pounds and a bag of potting soil weighs only 1/3 that, I am confident that each of you can manage that much weight. We will increase the number of exercises you must perform by 5 on Monday as well, until you complete 20 of each. There will be 400 repetitions of each exercise. Your typical training warm-ups will begin once you reach that threshold. You must develop the ability to begin before 6 in the morning and finish by 9. That is currently well out of your reach, but I think this training will help you get there quickly before you start your duties. I have one more thing to show you, he said as he exited, startling the girls by walking on top of the water. This is the water walking chakra control exercise, Naruto stated. We will start actual combat training once you reach 50 pounds of weight because you should be as strong as any typical academy graduate. I'm not forcing you to do it yet, but I expect all 3 of you to be able to fight on this water by then. I'll assume you're at least a kunoichi hopeful at that point. To determine whether they possess the necessary abilities to be ninja of our village, all genin teams must pass a test administered by their junin instructors. You would fail that test if you took it now. I'll tell you what the test would be. I want all three of you to use every skill you have at that moment to fight me on this water, and you have to push me onto dry land. The water walking exercise is similar to tree climbing, but if you don't have enough chakra, you sink rather than fall. You will blow off the water if you do too much. The only one of you three who could complete this exercise without dying of chakra exhaustion in 5 minutes is Hinata, because her clan uses chakras a lot with their bloodlines. You will learn this skill on your own time, but don't overdo it because you have responsibilities to both yourself and your teams. I'll give you one last piece of advice before we begin, girls. Use your brains and consider the threats that the world around you poses to you and your team. You will be performing your camp duties prior to training. If at all, no Prince Charming will ever come to your rescue. I will give the team a lap around the entire forest as punishment for everything you do wrong. If you do something that I believe puts you or your team in danger, or if you fail to take a precaution you should know to take. A Junin takes an hour to complete one lap for you three. You would still have your exercises to complete after half a day. In my opinion, let's get those weights on you so you can start training and setting up camp. Daylight's wasting, he said, opening a few steel bars and inserting them into the girls' suits. Once the camp was set up, Naruto watched the girls start their exercises and thought, the camp is sloppy as hell, inefficient, and they forgot to set any traps as well. It's going to be a long 3 months. Naruto then started reading while the girls each started to get the water, wood, and fish out of the river. As Naruto clapped and said, "Well done girls, your first day of training is complete and good job Sakura on finishing the first 6 questions ahead of the others." The girls fell to the ground that evening. Sakura gave him a fierce look and asked, "Are you crazy?" "Nope, you're lucky I haven't started poison resistance yet," Naruto grinned. "It's good that you prepared those fish for everyone earlier, Hinata, and covered them with tin foil to keep them safe, but that won't work going forward. From now on, you will only cook twice a day. When I get to camp tomorrow, I'll give you rice for breakfast, which you'll have to watch over and defend, and whatever you catch for supper. Until you learn how to seal the fish for later, you can't cook it that far in advance. If you did, all of the local wild animals would be drawn to the stench and would devour you all." As he turned to leave, he said, "I will let you all off on that this time since it was our first day and it was so screwed up anyway. Well, I will see you 3 tomorrow and have a good night." Ino replied, "Wait, you're leaving us here alone?" "Yes," Naruto replied, "I won't hold your hands or give you an explanation to survive. You must think for yourself. I won't say it again, so you'd better keep in mind everything I said." "CYA," he said, disappearing in a whirl of foliage. Now if my guess is right, they will have Hinata check on the area with her bloodline once and complain about me leaving. Sucks to always be right, he thought as he cast a genjutsu over himself. As Naruto materialized in the air above them, he sat down beneath the genjutsu to watch them, saying, "Now it's time to see what they really do and see how bad they screw up tonight." Kurenai approached Anko that evening while she was eating dango at the dango stand in town. She slammed a plate of dango and a bottle of sake in front of Anko, took a sip of the sake before pouring some into Anko's glass, and Anko raised an eyebrow, asking, "What's got your panties in a bind?" With an angry expression on his face, Kurenai said, "I want you to tell me everything about Naruto Sarutobi." Smirking, Anko uttered, "Superman, why? I have a thing for him. And now that bastard's got those 3 girls in God knows where doing God knows what to them," Kurenai said, glaring at her as she related how they had met at the Hokage office and what had transpired at the academy. During Kurenai's tirade, Anko had only taken 1 sip of sake, sighed, and uttered the words, "Nia, you're a fool. You are aware of that?" "What?" Kurenai asked in a startled tone, blinking. "All right, here's what you need to know about him," Anko said with a sigh. The Sandaime kept him at his family compound until the day Asuma was killed because of his true nature. He was never able to spend time with children his own age. The only woman there was Isis, Asuma's brother's wife, who passed away 3 months before Asuma gave birth, so his only recollection of a woman up until that point was of a pregnant one. He closed himself off after his world was turned upside down by killing that man, seeing his father die, finding out he was adopted, and then learning he had to become a ninja. Although the Sandaime was his sensei officially, he could only see him once or twice a week. If he was lucky, the Sandaime put him under my control to show the village that he trusted me, and because I was the only person who wasn't afraid of him at the time, rumors circulated that he killed people for fun and shot lasers out his eyes. It took me several months to gain his trust, and during that time the only other woman he had around him was a client on a mission. "What does this have to do with anything?" asked Kurenai. Anko glared at Kurenai and said, "Give me a few minutes, Nia, this is important in any case." That's how it happened for 2 years at the time. The Sandame was forced to enroll him, Hyatt, and Yugo in the Chunin exams in Grass Country. At the bar, Yugo approached and remarked, "You say something, Anko." Anko replied, "Take a seat. Nia here's needing info on Superman, so I was giving her the backstory on the kid." As she put down, Yugo remarked, "Poor guy, I feel sorry for him sometimes." Anyway, Anko stated, "All 4 of us were placed on a team with me as the team leader with the most experience after the 3 of us passed the tests and were promoted. Until Itachi went crazy, that is what she need to know about Captain 4, Yugo sighed. Yugo snorted as Anko explained it, adding, "That's him alright. I wish he would have been my original sensei back at their age." "You actually want someone like him for your sensei?" Kurenai uttered in shock. Yugo turned to Kurenai and said, "Get off your damn high horse and think about it a minute and stop letting your personal feelings for Hinata get in the way. Think about it from a kunoichi point of view with what you know about our life now and the way those girls are coming out of the academy. Would you rather have a sensei who would pamper them and cuddle them until one of them die or worse and they are forced to grow up, or would you rather have someone who sees woman in one of 4 categories and have those girls learn to respect themselves and others based on those views?" Cursing, Kurenai uttered, "I don't understand." Anko shook her head and said, "Alright, sit down, shut up, and we will explain it to you, Nia. Now, as I was saying, at this point the kid has only seen woman in 3 categories, kunoichi, mothers, and clients. When Itachi went happy, the kid was forced to become the apprentice to Jiraiya because the council wanted to lock him away, afraid he would go crazy as Itachi did because of his age. Jiraiya decided to train him to be a spy master and also to teach him other things. While Jiraiya would peek on women at the bathhouses or go to brothels to meet his contacts, he would drag the kid with him and leave him in the lobbies where he would watch for hours or days as the woman used every trick they could to get a John. He knows more seduction skills than all 3 of us put together. He also grew a huge disgust for women like them and perverts in general. In fact, one day he did snap and nearly killed Jiraiya when Jiraiya paid a girl to give him a lap dance. He broke both Jiraiya arms, 7 ribs, 1 of his legs, 4 toes, and burned the word Ero Sanin on Jiraiya chest. The only thing that saved Jiraiya was Tsunade, who happened to have been in the town they were in that day. Tsunade healed Jiraiya and then nearly killed the pervert after she learned what kind of mental torture he had been putting the kid through. For the next 6 months Naruto traveled with Tsunade and Shizune, leaving the pervert Tsunade become a grandmother to Naruto and Shizune a big sister, but both were kunoichi Tsunade to try and heal some of the damage done to Naruto. About woman put us in 4 categories: kunoichi, mothers, clients, and lastly whores. But why would she put us in those categories? Kurenai scowled. Yugo replied, "Think about it, Kurenai. What other categories would he as a ninja ever actually run into? Most of the women he meet in everyday life will be either mothers or clients. He's been through so much he doesn't know or think of himself at the age he is. He sees himself as someone between yours and our age. He doesn't understand crushes. He doesn't understand fangirls. To him, those are just seduction skills, and anyone who uses them that doesn't fall into the other 3 categories is automatically labeled as whores." According to Anko, it was with Tsunade that he met the Fire Lord and saved his life and became a fire temple guard. Most of the time he was at the actual temple training with monks, so there were no women there, and when he came back a traitor named Mizuki created some shit blackballing the kid, so he was put with Kakashi unit that was composed of all men, and when he wasn't on missions he was with Konohamaru, his cousin, and he sees him as his little brother, so they spend all their time alone at the compound. After he got his own team he was placed with me and Yugo here again, and when she paused, Kurenai uttered the words, "What?" as Yugo grimaced. Yugo stated, "Our first mission as a team, some shit went south on that mission and he had to do an assassination to save an entire country, but..." Kurenai questioned, "But what?" According to Anko, the guy was an infiltration expert and had the people's support following him. The kid met a woman while we were investigating for the mission and started to fall for her. The kid, after he killed the guy, broke code and tried to comfort the woman, and the woman had been fooled by the guy also and attacked the kid. She broke his mask and saw who he really was and called him everything she could as she tried to hurt him. In the end, the only thing she actually hurt were her own fist and what was left of the kid's own humanity. Because of the way people treat him, because of his powers, and because of her words, he doesn't see himself as even human anymore. He sees himself as a tool to be used and discarded. He won't touch those girls." As Yugo continued, He won't touch any woman. The last time I tried to give him a hug he stood at full attention and looked straight forward, ignoring me until I finally stepped back away from him. If the council and the Hokage wants him to build a clan, they will just have to order him to a bed and send a woman in to do all the work because he won't care. Anko snorts and said, the sad thing is his bloodline is not really that great. Yes, his skin is harder than steel somewhat and can deflect a thrown kunai or break a pushed kunai, but it still cuts his skin slightly because of the edge and only because the kunai are formed from weak metals that they actually break. A sword will still cut him, not as deep as normal, but if you add chakra or wind chakra to it and it cuts him just like anyone else. His skin also because it tougher gets stronger and doesn't break down as easily as a normal person, so he can build muscle mass quickly, but this also slows his body speed and flexibility down greatly. His X-ray vision causes tunnel vision, so the more he focuses on one thing the more blind he gets to other things. His heat vision only works on very slow and predictable targets or targets that's not moving at all because he can't see at all when he uses it. The old saying, blinded with rage, was talking about him in that regards, since that is the emotion he has to have to use the heat vision. His flying ability isn't that great either because if someone is quick enough to move to the left and right he can't use it in combat and has to take long winding turns to change directions unless he wants to completely stop. All these abilities are also huge chakra eaters also, as she took a sip of sake. Then why does he act so tough and like a badass about his abilities? Kurenai scowled. After exchanging glances with Anko, Yugo remarked, simple, he's scared of you. What? Why the hell is he scared of me? Kurenai blinked. Anko replied, Kurenai, you're like the ultimate question for him. You're not a client, you're not a mother, you're a kunoichi who is known to use seduction as one of her greatest abilities. He doesn't know how to class you. You're the ice queen of Konoha, the ultimate temptation, but also one of the most devoted to being a true kunoichi. When you insulted him about the council pulling the crap on him, he took it as an insult from both classes you represent. In his book he will either turn those three into the greatest kunoichi in the village or destroy them completely. Either way, it will be amusing to see if there is any hope for those girls. Yugo looked at Kurenai. If it makes you feel better, then I can promise you that he won't touch them sexually. He only respects 4 women, and that is me, Anko, Shizune, and Tsunade, and all of us despise men who only see women as sex objects, and we sort of passed that on to him. Kurenai replied, now I feel like shit again, but now it's my fault. Those girls are probably going through hell because I had to insult him. Anko replied, well, if it makes you feel any better I'll stop by the playground and check on them from time to time. Really? Thanks Anko, I owe you, Kurenai said. Kurenai turned pale as Anko laughed and said, you just have to pay for my dango and sake when you want the reports on them. Sakura was sitting up the following morning when she, Hinata, and Ino were all struck by a water balloon, causing them to scream and look around in shock. Before any of them could respond, Naruto swore and yelled, shut up now, I am pissed at all 3 of you, even worse than I was yesterday. Do you know why? Of course you don't, you're scared the fuck out of your minds right now. He was furious because all 3 of you had repeatedly failed to protect yourself and your teammates last night. Stuttering, Ino said, what do you mean, sensei? Naruto said, first you 3 set up traps that don't even work right and would most likely kill you instead by the way you set them up. Each of you set up 2 traps each on the ground, but none of you thought to put traps in the trees in case someone used them to get by your traps. Next is the fact when Hinata woke you up, Ino, you got up and never checked the traps, asked Hinata if she saw anything, checked on Sakura, or even look at the camp. You just walked over and sat in front of the fire and tried to fight off sleep and dozed off a few times until your kidneys told you to go to the bathroom, after which you went and woke Sakura up and went back to bed yourself. Sakura made the same mistakes you did by not checking on Hinata, or you were checking the traps. Like you, she also fell asleep. Now Ino, you remember when you went to the bathroom, you remember how a bush moved behind you and you asked, who's there? That was the stupidest thing you can do. Do you honestly think someone is going to say, hi, I'm the enemy hiding here waiting to have my way with you before I cut your throat? You just went back to business, never checking the surrounding area or checking to see what the noise was. Go over to that bush now, Ino, and take the other 2 with you. I want them to see what shook that bush. Ino, Hinata, and Sakura approached the bush slowly. As they peered around the bushes, all 3 girls screamed because they saw a 10-foot-tall centipede lying there with its head severed. Naruto came over and said, say hello to a demon, girls. That is one of the many minor demons that live in this forest. It has stingers on its many hands with a paralyzing poison on them that makes you unable to move while it dissolves your body from the inside out and then drinks out your insides after it bites off your head. It was ready to grab you from behind last night, Ino, when I killed it. It crawled in the trees over your traps and got that close to you and would have killed you and then both the other girls last night. All three of you fucked up. It is now 7 a.m. 2 hours after you should have started for the day. I'm too pissed off to count how many laps you girls should have to run right now, so here is what we are going to do. Hurry up and do your duties around camp. I want to leave here at 8 a.m. We are going for a run. We won't stop until noon. I will be back at 8 go. As he went through the leaves. With wide eyes and trembling from fear, Ino turned to face the bug and uttered, "I." Hinata raised her hand in the air and said, "Don't we need to be more careful? That could have been me or Sakura. That happened to none of us ever thought about things like that. According to Sakura, this place is going to kill us. That's why they call this place the Forest of Death and why there are signs all over telling people to stay out of here. The walls have seals on them preventing anyone from using chakra to go over them, so the only way in or out is through a gate and you have to have permission to be here. I take it you three are Superman's bitches," the woman said, laughing, as the three girls looked up to see a woman wearing a leather trench coat sitting on a tree branch and eating a dango. According to Ino, "Who are you?" "The name's Anko. Now if I were you three I would listen to Superman because he knows his shit well. I've seen what I came here for. CYA, the woman said, taking a bite out of her dango before hustling away. The girls were exhausted and dragged through the day's routine when Naruto returned, so they ran until noon as he had instructed that night. The girls completely crashed, failing to even set up traps, so the following day, they were punished by having to run in the morning. By the fourth day in the forest, the girls were improving and only had to run for 3 hours, and they were able to complete the exercise more quickly each day as they grew accustomed to the weights and them. There were 4 plates with 3 eggs, 3 pieces of bacon, 2 pieces of sausage, and 2 pieces of toast, and each had a glass of milk and a glass of orange juice. When Sunday finally arrived, the girls who had woken up at the right time were met by Naruto's smiling face, who led them to the tower. After an hour's walk, the girls entered a cafeteria, and their mouths watered as they smelled and saw the food. "This is our Sunday breakfast, girls," Naruto declared. "I want you to eat everything on your plate because it's full of calories, carbohydrates, and vitamins that will be stored in your body to help you regain some of the fat cells you lost from years of dieting. Eat, please." As the girls began eating, they didn't need any more explanations. After the girls had finished, Naruto grinned and took their dishes. He then produced multiple pages of papers, gave one to each girl, and said, "Each of you proceed to one of the 3 red chairs and start your test while I wash the dishes and wait for you. There can be no conversation." When the girls arrived, they discovered a pen on the desk. 3 hours later, the girls were done, and after taking a bathroom break, they found themselves in a large auditorium. Naruto approached the girls and greeted them, saying, "Welcome to your Sunday practice." A pair of stone hands then materialized. He held up a red ball and said, "I will release 50 of these in this room. These balls are equipped with seals that will make them begin to bounce and move at the speed of a graduated academy student throwing a kunai," Naruto stated. "You will only be able to avoid these balls until I grade your test. Avoid attempting to block and avoid using replacement. For the time being, this is the closest thing I can do to a live exercise without seriously endangering you. You're not permitted to stop either. This room has a motion sensor that I have rigged so that it will increase the number of balls in the room that are aimed at you all if it detects that you stop moving for longer than a minute at a time. If it detects that you have paused for longer than a minute, it will continue to add. I'll drop off your botans and bag that I brought back to camp when I get back. A seal that is intended to function with the balls in the room will be applied to the botans. Before the ball stops, all 3 of you must hit it within less than a minute. You will have to cooperate in order to accomplish this. You have to pick up the ball when it stops and place it in the bag before another ball hits it. You cannot rest until all 50 balls have been captured, because if another ball strikes it, it will become active once more and you will have to start over on that ball. We'll add 50 more balls to it next week, which means 100 students from the academy will be hurling weapons at you. After 10 weeks, you will have 500 enemy weapons bouncing around you that you will learn to dodge and then fight. The following week, you will have 100 academy students and 50 genin level, followed by 100 genin level, 50 chunin, 100 chunin, 50 anbu, 100 anbu, 50 junin, and finally 100 junin. That's all there is to it. I suppose you must cooperate and save energy because I have no idea how long it will take me to grade your testa. At least a few hours. Good luck." As he jumped into the air and kicked a box and 50 balls began to fall, and once they hit the ground the girls saw the balls pick up speed and bounce wildly, and each girl thought, "Oh shit." 3 months later, time has passed. "Well, I have to say I am very impressed with each of them," Naruto said, grinning as he observed the 3 girls in front of him. Naruto looked at Ino, who was now 5 feet 9, a good 6 inches taller than she was before the training. She was now dressed in a pair of black pants that were bound around her ankles to protect them and had a small bracelet holding them tightly against her legs, a kunai holster on her left and a shuriken holster on her right. She had a dark blue shirt with fishnet underneath it which poked out barely above the top 3 buttons of her shirt that was left unbuttoned. The shirt was long sleeve with a small bracelet on each arm holding the shirt tightly against her arm. She had a tattoo on her left palm of a lily and on her right palm a cherry blossom, and a heart on top of her right hand was a daisy. On Ino's back was a sword with a daisy painted on the handle. Naruto looked at the tattoos and thought, Ino, in those seals on your hand you have a shuriken with a seal that releases Raiden chakra into a target by absorbing chakra from the target on impact, and kunais with paralyzing poison released on impact as well, since you will need to stop them in order to use your bloodline on them. Both are ideal for you. Hinata, you have kunais with a seal that creates a water prison using a person's own chakra to make the jutsu work, and also shurikens that seal a person inside it on impact so that you can capture them, which is what type of missions you will mostly have with your bloodline, Naruto thought as he glanced at Hinata, who was in the center and dressed exactly like Ino except that she was wearing a white shirt, had a lily on her sword, and had a daisy and a cherry blossom in her palms. And you, Sakura, you have shurikens that explode on contact and kunais that draw a person's chakra to them and turn that chakra into kaiden jutsu, burning them from the inside out, Naruto thought as he glanced at Sakura, who was wearing the same outfit as the other 2 girls but a pink shirt and a cherry blossom on her sword. Ladies, Naruto said, I recognize you as Kunoichi and am incredibly honored and proud to have served as your sensei. Each of you has both met and surpassed my expectations. You can easily make storage seals, blood seals, and exploding tags. Thanks to your understanding of seals, you've also used this knowledge, along with the description of the wind chakra seals I added to your trench knives, to launch an elemental attack with your kunais that captures, kills, or paralyzes your targets. Each of you knows the Kage Kunai no Jutsu, Shuriken no Jutsu, and the Kage Bunshin no Jutsu, Naruto said as he started to move to the left. You each possess 2 defensive and 2 offensive jutsu, as well as a Bunshin jutsu for the elements of lightning, water, and earth, respectively. Naruto retraced his steps and said as moved, you also know 5 genjutsu that allow you to distort an enemy's depth perception, conceal yourself, conceal your teammates, distract the enemy with phantom weapons, and a sleeping jutsu that will knock someone out. Then Naruto paused and grinned, saying, you each have also learned to remove poisons, heal cuts, set broken bones, and ease pain with jutsu and pressure points with and without chakra. You can now move normally with 100 pounds on each limb, meaning a total of 400 pounds, which you can drop by using the seal on top of your hand, Naruto said, placing his hands behind his back. Depending on your styles, I rank each of you at Chunin level or higher: Kenjutsu, Genjutsu, Ninjutsu, Taijutsu, Medical Jutsu, Chakra Control, Chakra Reserves, Sealing, Speed, Endurance, Stamina, Strategy, and Teamwork. You are, in my opinion, the most formidable and complete team in Konoha history. At the end, he grinned, now let's get the hell out of this forest. The 3 girls hurried off after saying, hi sensei. Impressive, Naruto said a figure that emerged from the shadows after they had left. Before Danzo sounded off, he was seen saying, I knew I made the right choice with you. It took Team 10 just 10 minutes to make it back to the village after leaving the forest, and Sakura remarked, I can't believe we're finally back here. Ino replied, I know, I don't know how many more of those Oni I could have killed before going nuts. At least we didn't run into any more of those weird ninja, Hinata remarked. Sensei, did you ever discover which village they were from? I never heard, said Naruto. I still apologize for that. I wish I could have been present when the 3 of you had to murder them. Sakura remarked, we wouldn't have made it through that if it weren't for your training, Sensei. We owe our lives to you. Ino responded, but why were they in the forest in the first place? I have some theories, Naruto stated. This year's Chunin exams will take place in a few months, and the Forest of Death is frequently used as a testing location by mapping the forest or stockpiling food and weapons there beforehand. They might have been attempting to give their village an advantage. Hinata snorted and uttered the words, idiots. Tell me about it. Ino said, it is impossible to map that forest because it is ever changing. Before I witnessed the trees walking, I wouldn't have believed it. That reminds me, Naruto said, pausing and turning around. Refrain from discussing the actions or inactions of the forest. It is a secret that Konoha keeps very close to the vest. The only people who should know are those who are Anbu level or higher. Sakura declared, we won't tell Sensei. I know, said Naruto, I'd beat your ass if you did. With a shudder, Ino said, no thanks, not after the last time. According to Sakura, you deserved that one pig. Nodding, Hinata said, yeah, she did. As she flushed, Ino pouted and remarked, hey, it wasn't a total loss. Ino, never take over my body, Naruto said, giving her a scowl. If you're curious about the size of my dick, I don't care. But sensei, Anko told us you had a super dick, Ino said in a whiny voice. We simply wanted to know. And you notice Anko didn't come back again, right? Said Naruto. I tanned her ass after I tanned yours. Hinata said, I highly doubt that, sensei. The other two girls laughed as the three of them paused and turned to face him. With a pout, Naruto turned to go on, thinking, damn woman, I will never ask Anko for another favor again. When the girls noticed that a number of people were staring at them as they passed through the village, Naruto remarked, yeah, I kind of forgot to mention the council told everyone about your attack on the Uchiha. Ino inquired, whatever happened to that jerk? Naruto replied, well, his voice box was destroyed and someone made him a metal box that is on a choker around his neck that makes him sound like a computer a little. Sakura questioned, computer, what's that? As the three girls appeared perplexed. It's a machine that's very well liked in the East, Naruto stated. Over the years, I've only seen a couple. Don't worry about it, but it will be more difficult for him to start his clan again because he also lost his left nut. When the Hokage tower appeared, Naruto shook his head and the girls laughed. They had to wait for around 20 minutes after reaching the tower and entering the building, during which time some people came and went. The girls felt good when they saw several polite nods directed at them, and Naruto remarked, it's not that they know of your skills or deeds, but the way you are carrying yourself that they are recognizing. You are demonstrating to them your pride in being Konoha's ninja and kunoichi. At the very least, Konoha takes care of ours. Looking at Naruto, the Hokage's secretary remarked, he can see you now. You didn't really, you know. The only thing I did was mold them into kunoichi, snorted Naruto. The secretary returned to her duties after saying, good, then I don't have to put you down in this month's gossip newsletter as a pervert. The Sandame sat there observing Team 10 as they entered his office and greeted them, saying, hello, Team 10 inches, how did your training go? Hinata replied, brutal Hokage-sama, but we're thankful for it. The girls blink and appear perplexed as the Sandame nods and says, let's see here, it appears that you girls have done 17 C rank missions and 20 B rank missions. You know all those Oni you kept killing, Naruto smirked. A little known fact is that they are highly valuable for weapons, furs, medications, and other items. Even though the Forest of Death is heavily classified, there is a wealth of information about some of its creatures. In fact, some of them have unrestricted bounties from Konoha, so any ninja who kills them and brings the items in is considered to have completed a mission because the Oni appear so frequently. Regardless of how many there are, Junins use them as quick cash since the forest is extremely dangerous. All you need to do is obtain permission from the Sandame to enter in order to prevent other nations from attempting to enter and take the items for themselves. Yes, these missions have now been recorded in your mission record, but you are not allowed to discuss them, the Sandame stated. Once you get to Chunin, I'll let you three go on a hunt once every 6 months to get some spare change and a guide to what constitutes a bounty and what doesn't, but you can't tell anyone about it. Do you get it? One of the girls replied, yes, Hokage-sama. When a Chunin suddenly started panting, the Sandame nodded and opened his mouth, asking, what's going on here? Sir, a message from Team 8. The Chunin said they are asking for urgent help because their mission has improved from a C rank to an A rank, sir. Naruto, how prepared are they? Asked the Sandame. Naruto stated, we can handle anything under AS, sir, as a team. The Sandame replied, very well, I am ordering you to head to Wave and assist Team 8 in their mission to protect a bridge builder named Tazuna. The Sandame said, Naruto, did you hear me? As Naruto's eyes widened and he turned pale. Yes, I apologize for that, Gramps, Naruto said as he hurried off. He said, let's go, girls. As soon as they left, they started passing by the rooftop and soon arrived at the village's gates. All right, team, here's the plan, Naruto said, glancing at the girls. From here, the hard run to Wave takes 6 hours. Sakura is to the left, Hinata is to the back, Ino is to the right, and I am in the front as we form a diamond. I want you to quickly scout the area every 200 yards, Hinata, and if anything seems off, alert the rest of us right away. Let's go, he said as he dashed down the road until he reached the tree line, at which point he started jumping from tree to tree while the girls followed silently. 2 hours later, Hinata remarked, I see signs of a fight on the road. After making a slight change in direction, Naruto said, I know, let's go. They soon came to a road and continued to follow it for 3 more miles before Naruto stopped and Sakura questioned, what's wrong, sensei? As he started to enter the woods, Naruto remarked, Team 8 is not far from here. Soon after, Team 10 detected the scent of firewood and noticed Kiba sitting close to an elderly man. He quickly turned into a defensive stance, scowling and saying, "Oh great, the sluts are here." He was then struck across the back of his head by a genjutsu, and Yakumo stood there scowling at Kiba before she grinned and said, "Hello Naruto-sama. How are you?" "I'm here," Naruto said, glancing at the elderly man. "Shino, you can leave Kurenai." Shino and Kurenai appeared across from the elderly man as a swarm of bugs emerged from the trees, and she remarked, "I see the girls survived your training, huh?" According to Naruto, "Hello Tazuna." After opening his eyes and blinking for a moment, Tazuna turned to face Naruto and yelled, "You!" He then slammed his sake bottle onto the ground, grabbed the broken top, leapt forward, and shocked everyone by stabbing Naruto in the stomach. "What is the meaning of this?" Kurenai asked, glaring at Tazuna as she rushed over to slap him. She then looked at Naruto's stomach, where his shirt had been slightly cut, and noticed that there were only a few tiny drops of blood. Tazuna yelled, "Murder," and gestured to Naruto. "My people's anguish and suffering were brought on by him. He enabled Gato to seize power by assassinating our nation's hero. You have no right to reveal your face to me." "How is the family doing?" asked Naruto. "You stay away from them, you bastard," Tazuna said. "You've already caused enough trouble for our people." Ignoring Tazuna, Naruto turned to her and asked, "What's the situation, Kurenai?" When Sakura, Ino, and Hinata started to react, Naruto yelled, "Stand down." Tazuna screamed, "Don't ignore me, you cold-hearted bastard," as he took a log from the fire and proceeded to stab Naruto with it. Tazuna paused and scowled as he said, "Hiding behind girls now, and each girl froze. Do you mean to kill their families?" When Naruto said, "Be silent, Ino began to speak. "He has every right to despise me because, as he says, I committed murder. What is the circumstance, Kurenai, that required your support?" After surveying the camp, Kurenai remarked, "Perhaps we should talk in private." "No, there's nothing to talk about," Naruto said. "I acknowledge that I killed the man they dubbed Hero of Wave, and I would still have done so if I could go back in time." Yakumo screamed, "Stop it," as she advanced to attack Tazuna, but Naruto grabbed her before she could attack him. Tazuna screamed in rage as he took the log with the fire on it in his hand and shoved it into Naruto's chest without even flinching. "All of you stand down and act like ninja," Naruto said. "Since nothing he does can harm me, Tazuna is free to do as he pleases." He folded his arms across his charred chest and said, "Now, what's the problem? You needed backup for Kurenai." "Tazuna is constructing a bridge from Wave to Fire Country," Kurenai remarked with a frown. "The country is being choked by the business tycoon Gato of Gato Shipping, who has reportedly blockaded the island and increased the cost of almost everything in order to free the Wave people from Gato's rule. He hired a group of missing Mist ninja to murder Tazuna Bridge." "I see," Naruto said. "Since the Wave blockade has been in place for more than a year, I'm already aware of it." "Of course you know," Tazuna said. "You were paid by Gato to handle issues. Isn't that why you're here? Like you did with Kaiza, you're here to kill me." Naruto replied, "What has the Wave Lord done since Gato took control?" Kiba replied, "Now hold on a minute. This guy called you a killer, a murderer, and basically said you're the guy who is responsible for all the pain and suffering the people of Wave are feeling. And I'm a ninja," Naruto added. "Like all of you. I follow my client's instructions to finish my mission. Genin, don't question me again." Kurenai replied, "That's enough Naruto. Maybe you should return to Konoha." Naruto remarked, "Your team, Kurenai, will also be returning to Konoha if I do. The Genins on your team graduated just 3 months ago. This indicates that the mission was initially C rank. This could only have been a C rank if Tazuna had concealed or lied about the risks your team would be facing, in which case the mission could have been cancelled immediately." When he heard this, Tazuna scowled and went white, saying, "You bastard, how much do you get paid by Gato?" Naruto replied, "I am not now, nor have I ever been under the employment of Gato." "Liar," Tazuna said. "You're merely attempting to hide your ass and safeguard your salary." "That's enough, both of you," Kurenai said. "My team has stated that they want to assist the Wave people and finish their mission. Even though I believe there will be more issues than assistance, I am forced to accept your team for this mission. Naruto, when we get back, I'll talk to the Sandaime about this as well." "Very well," said Naruto. "What plans do you have?" "Don't trust him," Tazuna said. "He'll murder us all while we're asleep. He is a heartless idiot." "This is the last time I say this, Tazuna," Kurenai said as he turned around. "We'll quit now. If we don't do our jobs, you can either take all of us or none at all. Your decision." Despite scowling, Tazuna took a seat and picked up another bottle of sake. Kurenai added, "Naruto, you and I will discuss this later. We have now made our camp for the night and will start our departure early tomorrow. You can take the second watch, and I'll take the first." Team 8 was confused when Naruto said, "Day 1." Ino swiftly vanished to fetch wood. Sakura hurried to fetch water, and Hinata started searching for food. "Where are your security traps at?" Ino asked as she turned around after returning. Kiba replied, "Why should I tell you anything? Listen," she said as Kiba was flipped over Ino's shoulder and landed on his back, with Ino's sword at his neck. "Although I agree that my teammates and I were on the verge of being sluts the last time you saw us, I chose to ignore the slut comment. As Konoha ninja, you will treat us with the respect we deserve because we are proud kunoichi. Even though Naruto-sensei and Kurenai-sensei are taking watches, we should also take watches, especially after being attacked by enemy ninjas. That's why I asked you where the security traps are in order to avoid falling into one of your traps if we are attacked tonight. My teammate and I need to know where the traps are. We also need to make sure that you have enough traps set up for the larger group, so we better get in shape or fuck off." As Naruto leaned back against a tree, Kurenai arched an eyebrow and remarked, "Aren't you going to stop your student Naruto?" "Not really," Naruto remarked. Ino made a really good point. "In my opinion, instead of killing those ninja, she and her teammates would have perished or worse if they hadn't realized what she was saying when those 4 enemy shinobi attacked them last month." With widened eyes, Kurenai exclaimed, They killed already. All 3 of them have had their first kill," Naruto declared, since his pride prevents him from acknowledging that he was not only mistaken but also defeated by a woman he considered beneath him. "I believe your student is waiting for you to come to his rescue." Kurenai scowled as she turned back to face Kiba, who was glaring at Naruto. "Ino, please stop," she said. "Show her the traps you 3 have set up, Kiba." Kiba scowled as Ino took down the sword and stood up. When Ino turned to face Sakura, who had returned to the camp, Kiba tried to punch him in the back, but Ino split, sending the blow flying over her head. Ino then pushed her elbow into his stomach, causing him to hold his stomach while she backflipped out of the split and stood up. Kurenai replied, "That's enough, both of you. Kiba, you are to tell Ino you're sorry for attacking her now." "No," snarled Kiba, "that bitch attacked me first and I was just showing her her proper place." Naruto remarked, "Team 10, scout the area, 1 mile range," as Kurenai scowled. "Come back in 20 minutes. As Hinata placed some berries and a rabbit close to the wood and water they had collected, the 3 girls all said, "Hi." They then hurried off. "He's your student, and whatever you think is best is your decision," Naruto declared after the 3 girls had left. "But my students will not allow themselves to be walked over and treated as they were in the past. In order to demonstrate that they are honorable kunoichi and not whores, bitches, or sluts, they have changed and have bled, sweated, and fought." He shushed off, saying, "I'm going to scout the area and will return in an hour." "Kiba, you have embarrassed me as not only your sensei but also a woman today," Kurenai said, biting her lip after he left. "When we get back to Konoha, I'll talk to your clan head about treating other Konoha ninja, whether they're shinobi or kunoichi, and women in general, with the respect they deserve. If you don't treat her and the others with the respect they deserve, I'll report you to the Hokage for insubordination. As for you, Tazuna, you will be taking watch with Hinata, Yakumo, Sakura, Kiba, and Ino. I'd like to know the backstory of what previously transpired between you and Naruto. I'd like to know everything." "A little more than a year ago, a man by the name of Kaiza visited our village," Tazuna said. "As a foreigner, he was searching for a place to call home. To make a few bucks, he worked at a few odd jobs around town until one day, my grandson Inari was playing with his puppy. After these odd kids began taunting Inari, one of the boys grabbed the puppy and threw him into the river when he began to bark at them. Although his puppy drowned, Inari jumped in to save him, but the river was too strong for him. Kaiza then showed up and saved Inari. When Inari became agitated, Kaiza took him home and told him what had happened. My daughter Tsunami then demanded permission to prepare dinner for him in order to save her son. Kaiza consented, and since it was late, we allowed him to stay in our guest room. After learning that he had nowhere else to go, he left the following day, but 2 days later, a storm hit, jammed one of the flood canal's doors, and if it hadn't been fixed, the water would have destroyed the village. Kaiza sprang into action and saved the village by shutting the flood doors. He turned into Wave's hero. He took a sip of sake and said, he moved in with us, and about a week later, he showed up. As I mentioned, that murder surfaced in Wave a week later, Tazuna said. He was looking around the village while wearing clothes that seemed normal. He claimed to have been just passing through and was looking for his godfather. He was most likely killed by a bastard in any case. Tsunami was getting groceries when her bag broke and everything she had dropped to the ground. He came by to assist in picking them up, offered to assist in getting the groceries back for her, playing the innocent part. After Tsunami consented, he visited Inari, played with him, and claimed to have a brother of Inari's age that he doesn't often see. He said he was waiting for his godfather to come get him and that he hadn't arrived yet. so he agreed when Inari asked if he wanted to spend the night. He assisted with cleaning, cooking, gathering firewood, and even catching some fish. He and Tsunami appeared to become close friends, discussing topics such as gardening and book reading, as well as what it was like to raise a child. He said that after his father was killed, he had to assist in raising his brother. He behaved like a child who had a crush on her, in my opinion at the time. Kurenai thought, it couldn't have been the mission Anko was talking about, could it? Kurenai recalled what Anko and Yugo had said, go on please. Kaiza had stated that he had a job and would return in a few days, and he found him there. Tazuna said Tsunami accepted Kaiza's proposal that evening, and now that I think about it, I'm willing to wager that the bastard killed him out of jealousy. After scowling, Kurenai said, slow down and tell me what happened after Kaiza proposed until the time he died. Why? Tazuna asked. Don't you want justice? Kurenai asked. In order to properly report after the mission is over, I need to know what happened, particularly given the manner in which you assaulted him. Tazuna murmured. He told Kaiza and Tsunami congratulations and that he hoped they have a happy life together. In fact, he seemed happy for them, but... Kurenai questioned, but what? I don't know, it's just... Something changed in his eyes that night, Tazuna said, shaking his head. I don't know why, but he stopped congratulating them and became very quiet. I recall Inari asking if there was a problem, and he replied that there wasn't, but he did inquire as to where Kaiza obtained such a beautiful ring. He wanted a ring made for a friend and said the work was excellent. After Kaiza informed him that it was a family heirloom, he appeared distressed, but when Kaiza questioned him about it, he replied that he was eager to get his friend a ring like that before he went to play with Inari. After that, he vanished and would return and then vanish again, Tazuna said, emptying his bottle. He said he was looking for his godfather, but one day Kaiza returned, upset. He said he witnessed some men who were allegedly Gado's employees attacking one of the warehouses. In order to demonstrate to Gado that we would not tolerate it, he wanted us to gather all the villagers and go fight those men at the warehouse with Kaiza leading the way. We left and headed out with the majority of the villagers when he suddenly showed up wearing a black cloak and a mask that I assume featured a monkey on it. He warned us to stop right away or he would have to stop us, even though we had no idea who he was. Kaiza said he was one of the men he saw attacking the warehouse, and he tried to attack him with his sword. However, he was too strong, and he blocked all of Kaiza's attacks, breaking the sword in half before stabbing the tip back into Kaiza's heart. Killing him, he turned to face Tsunami, who was screaming, and apologized. Tsunami ran at him and began to attack him with her fist, and he just stood there while she screamed and punched him before one of her fists struck his mask, shattering it and revealing his face. We were all taken aback, and then he simply vanished, just as before. What a bastard, Kiba remarked. You'll report him, right, sensei? He killed him for defending the wave people. Kurenai replied, I'll inform the Hokage in my report, and he thought, if this is the mission Anko was talking about. She claimed the guy was a ninja. I need to find out the truth. Kurenai said, Team 10, after Sakura, Ino, and Hinata returned to help you both learn how to cooperate, I made the decision that Shino would watch over Hinata, Yakumo would watch over Sakura, and Kiba would watch over you. Ino, I'll find out which shifts and how long Naruto wants you to take when he returns. Sakura stated, Hinata first, Ino second, and I'm third watch, and each watch is 3 hours each in a 10-hour night. But that's only 9 hours, Kiba remarked. Who is the recipient of the other watch? Team 10's 3 girls gave Kiba a dumbfounded look, and Kiba responded, What? Why are all 3 of you staring at me that way? Kurenai sensei, have you had nighttime survival training? Hinata asked, turning to face Kurenai. Kurenai looked at him and replied, No, this is our first mission outside of the village and it hadn't came up in our regular training yet. According to Ino, the 1 hour gives us time to get a report from the previous shift and to inspect the traps to make sure they haven't been slowly tampered with to take us out when we least expect it. I guess you 3 really have come a long way, huh? Kurenai remarked. Looking around, Ino remarked, Yes, our training was hell, but it was war which way? With her eyes open, Hinata declared, There's one. Leaving at 2 o'clock. It seems that the individual fled from the spruce tree at 6 o'clock. Sensei then materialized in front of the individual. It looks to be a hunter nin. But not a Konoha one. The hunter nin attacked Sensei with senbons, knocked him unconscious, and he is now returning. When Naruto appeared in the camp with a figure on his shoulder, he dropped the figure and started looking for weapons, shocking Tazuna and Team 8. Kurenai asked, What's going on, Naruto? She's a fake, Naruto declared. According to her, she was searching for the demon brothers who had been spotted in this region. She attacked me with senbons, just like Hinata I suspect told you, when I questioned her about the fact that she lacked a weapon to cut off her victims' heads and the rumor that the demon brothers were part of the group Zabuza Momochi was allegedly working with. along with a phony mist hunter Nin. Well done for spotting her, Ino. What revealed herself? Ino stated, she has the scent of a moon rose on her, which is a common ingredient used in poisons but not one that grows in the land of fire. Well done, said Naruto. I will bring this girl back to Konoha, Kurenai, so that Anko can obtain information about Zabuza Team 10. You must keep moving forward and take Kurenai's lead, do you get it? Each of the three girls said, Hi sensei. Wait, Kurenai said, why don't you intervene or let me handle it? Why are you going? I can get to Konoha and back before morning, and you're already set up for camp, and my team is more than capable of helping you until I get back. Naruto stated. He snatched the weapons he had just taken from the hunterman, then snatched the hunter and Shushin away, saying, You're in charge until I return. Kiba replied, I bet he's going to tell his grandfather to start covering his tracks for his crime. With a small key release, Ino declared, Never insult our sensei. Sensei, could you please have someone show us your team traps so we can set up our camp? Ino said as Kiba winced. All right, would you mind, Shino? Kurenai asked. Very well, Shino said. Follow me. Kiba turned back to the rabbit and remarked, Look here boy, free meat, as he reached for it after he saw the girls go off with Shino. Kiba cried out, What the hell? As a kunai struck the rabbit just as he was ready to grab it, causing it to vanish in a cloud of smoke. As she approached and grabbed the kunai, Hinata said, Leave our food alone, mutt. She then unsealed the rabbit from it and started cleaning it. Kurenai thought, I can't believe these three are the same girls back that day, as Kiba complained before he sat down. Naruto hurried to the T&I department of Anbu as soon as he got to Konoha, where he discovered Ibiki still carrying the hunter Nin. When Naruto entered, Ibiki looked up from his desk, raised an eyebrow, and asked, Why'd I get the feeling you brought me a gift? Sorry, not this time, Naruto said. However, as he placed the hunter Nin in a chair, he said, I need a favor. What kind of favor and why do you have a Kiri hunter Nin? Ibiki asked with a frown. Naruto replied, Ever hear of a mist hunter Nin with an ice bloodline? Ibiki said, blinking, No, that's impossible with the civil war going on there. Naruto replied, Exactly, this is the imposter that was running around with Zabuza Momochi. I need you to keep her on lockdown until I return, hands off besides food and water, but put her in the sealed chakra room. I don't know how much Zabuza cares for her, but since my spies informed me that she's saved his ass more times than Jiraiya gets rejected by Tsunade, he might be willing to join my network in exchange for her. Still trying to find out about this group who are after the Biju, Ibiki said, crossing his arms. Naruto replied, Yeah. Rumor has it they originally formed in Kiri, so getting someone who was high up in ranking like a member of the Seven might be able to give me the lead I need to find this group. Ibiki replied, Not to mention Kyuubi and that strange meteorite that hit him that you absorbed part of. Nodding, Naruto replied, Yeah, if these abilities I have is from a small fragment of a rock, then imagine if someone like you or Kumo got their hands on it. Forget the Biju. In 15 years they could have an entire army like me, maybe less. Ibiki replied, Not something we could look forward to or handle, no offense. Naruto replied, None taken, so can you keep her safe for me? Yeah, Ibiki replied, but where are you going? After a moment of silence, Naruto hushed away after saying, Wave. Oh shit, Ibiki's eyes widened, and he yelled, Habi, Neko. A short while later, Anko entered the office with Yugo and Ibiki, saying, Hokage-sama sent Oni to Wave. Both Yugo and Anko went pale and exclaimed, Oh fuck. Kurenai glanced at Kiba, who was on one side of the camp. At midnight then, she turned to face the trees where Ino was sitting, and she almost burst out of her skin when she heard a voice say, Hi, right behind her. You look tired, why don't you get some sleep? Kurenai, who had leapt away, glared at Naruto, who was floating in midair, before he sat down gently on the ground. Biting her lip, Kurenai uttered, Not until you and I talk. Naruto took a breath and replied, What is there to talk about? I freely and adamantly admit that I killed that man just as Tazuna told you when he attacked me in front of that mob he was leading. I broke his blade and killed him with it. End of story. Kurenai scowled and remarked, It was your first mission as a captain, wasn't it? I see I've been the topic of conversation more than once, huh? So what all do you know? Naruto said, his lips quivering. Kurenai replied, Anko told me your mission went south, something about a... With a firm tone, Naruto uttered, Do not continue that sentence. Kurenai scowled and uttered, Why? Naruto said, There are things that are better left dead and buried. There was a lot of things that either I can't or won't talk about with you, Hokage-sama, or anyone else. It's the reason I quit wearing a mask in honor of my family name, but instead the one I wore when we first met. Now get you some sleep, because our next fight will most likely be with Zabuza Momochi. If it is, you are to protect the client and anyone he has with him while I handle Zabuza myself. Kurenai replied, who do you think you are? I am the same rank as you. Naruto looked at her and replied, not on this mission. You're not. You know my history, so you know who the highest ranking person I worked for is. When it comes to anything related to this, I answer only to that person. What does the Fire Lord have to do with this? Kurenai asked, her eyes widening. Naruto took a breath and said, please Kurenai, just drop this until we return to Konoha. I can be back to Konoha and return with written order relieving you of command and ordering you back to Konoha by dawn, which I don't want to do, but if you force me to, I will. There is just something that can't be revealed right now. You deserve your rank and deserve to be on this mission along with your team. There's just issues that can't be brought to attention in the open as we are. As he looked at Tazuna. If we get the chance to talk in private, I want to know the truth. This is a danger to me and my team, and I'll follow your orders for now, but you have to tell me the truth once we can talk somewhere secure, Kurenai said, biting her lip as she watched him glance at Tazuna. Very well, get some sleep. Naruto sighed. Naruto looked at Tazuna and then Kiba as Kurenai approached and lay down on a bedroll. He asked himself, why do other people's crimes have to haunt me? After breaking camp the following morning, the group continued down the road for a few hours until they arrived at the sea. When they reached a small cove with a boat, Tazuna continued to glare at Naruto, who ignored her, and she exclaimed, hey, I'm back. The hat-wearing man in the boat sat up, lifted his hat, and pointed at Naruto, saying, took your sweat Teamy. What the hell is that monster doing here? Tazuna sighed. I don't like him being here either, but it's either I let that killer come or we don't get any protection from the other ninja. I refuse to let him step foot on my boat, declared the man on the boat. That's fine, everyone else get in the boat, Naruto said. As everyone else sat down on the boat, Tazuna said, finally, we don't have to deal with him. Team 10 turned to face Naruto, who merely shook his head in agreement. Naruto started floating after they were all in the boat, shocking everyone except Kurenai and Team 10. He then flew to the front of the boat and grabbed hold of it, and before anyone could react, the boat started to be pulled quickly across the water, causing everyone to either scream or close their eyes. It only took 15 minutes for the bridge to be visible during the typical 3-hour boat ride to Wave, and an additional 5 minutes were needed to reach the shore. It would be an understatement to say that Tazuna and the boatman were shocked. After bringing the boat close to shore and stepping onto it, Naruto waited for Tazuna and the other two teams to disembark before starting to move toward the area he knew Tazuna lived. All right, Team 10, you are to set up a perimeter around this house and follow Kurenai orders. Naruto halted at the edge of the clearing where Tazuna's house was located after they arrived without incident. What are you going to do? Inquired Kurenai. Tazuna replied, probably going to grovel at God's feet and beg for money to kill us all. What's wrong? Too afraid to face the victims you hurt face to face? Tazuna was ignored by Naruto. We didn't encounter Zabuza, meaning he either doesn't know that his 3 partners are captured or dead, or he doesn't know that we arrived here so quickly. I'm going to scout the island and see if I can find where he is and try to deal with him before he can make an attempt here, as he disappeared. After Naruto left, Tazuna scowled at his previous location before he yelled, follow me. He then went over, opened the door, and exclaimed, I'm home. As Team 10 and Team 8 entered, they noticed an 11-year-old boy glaring at the two teams based on the boy's appearance and attire. Sakura and Ino thought, my god, he's even more emo than Sasuke. As the kitchen door opened and Tsunami left, a woman's voice said, oh thank god Dad, I was so worried. Well, I could see why Naruto might have liked her. She could give most women a run in the looks department, Kurenai said, blinking as she glanced at Tsunami. Tsunami stated, hello, I'm Tsunami, Tazuna daughter, and that's my son Inari. I thank you all for protecting my father. Kurenai replied, it's what we were hired to do, miss. I'm Kurenai Uehi and this is my team Kiba, Shino, and Yakumo. Those 3 are Ino, Sakura, and Hinata, a team that was sent to aid us after we were attacked by some missing nins. Tazuna turned away and said, Tsunami, you might want to take a seat. What's wrong, Dad? Tsunami scowled after inhaling deeply. Tazuna uttered, Kaisa's killer is here also. With a clenched fist, Tsunami heard Inari yell, WHAT. According to Tsunami, that's not funny, Dad, pointing to Team 10, Tazuna said, I wish I was joking. He's those 3 girls there, sensei. Get out now, I don't want anything to do with that monster in my house, Tsunami said, turning to face Team 10. Kurenai said, do you want to punish them for, with a frown? Sakura took the lead and left, followed by the other 2 members of Team 10. That's enough, Kurenai-sensei. If she has a problem with our sensei and us, that's fine, we can complete our mission from outside the house. The only difference is where we sleep and eat. Luckily we've been living of the land for the last 3 months mostly, so it's not anything we can't handle, come on. Kiba replied, Sensei, why can't we just send him back and ask for a different team? I mean, I heard everything he told you last night and I call bullshit. There's no way he's got the right to take charge of this mission and order you around like he did. The ninja looked shocked, Tazuna and his family looked irate, and Tsunami remarked, he's the Hokage grandson, how could you trust these people, Dad? Kurenai said, I'm not so sure. Kiba, he was a genin at age 5. Shunin at age 7, Sanin apprentice at age 8, became a fire temple guard at age 10, Enbu at age 12, and Enbu captain at age 14, before becoming a Junin at the age 15. Tazuna let out a sigh. I hate it as much as you do, dear, but what can I do? I wouldn't have made it to any other village, and these 3 here did defend me against 2 men hired by Gato already, while the other 3 detected another who was working with them and he captured that one. He openly admits he killed Kaiza and would do it again because that was what he was paid to do. As much as I hate it, it appears all those stories about ninja doing whatever they are paid to do are true no matter what. Whoever pays them is who they work for. Everyone was shocked when they heard a thud and saw blood on the door from a sword stab. Kurenai hurried to the door and opened it, paled, and saw a short man in a business suit with a sword through his heart and securing him to the door. Tazuna said, it can't be, that's Gato. Kurenai turned and saw Naruto standing a few feet away, covered in blood and with cuts all over his clothes. He said, I haven't found Zabuza yet, but I did come across him, so I took care of him. Once I can deal Zabuza, I do not see the need for my team or I to still be here, and you can continue your mission, Kurenai. With Gato dead along with his mercenaries, protecting your client will be easier. Kurenai replied, what, but what did you do? Why did you kill them? As he started to pant, Naruto said, I did what I had to. Team 10, keep perimeter while I go looking for, and abruptly collapsed to the ground. Everyone turned when a man in the trees with a huge sword on his back said, well, if it isn't Superman. Zabuza Momochi, a rank missing nin, what are you doing here? If you're working for Gato, then he's dead, Kurenai said, recognizing him. Zabuza pointed to Naruto and remarked, Gato, that little pig, I could care less about him. I'm here for revenge, pure and simple, against him. What are you talking about? Asked Naruto, who was panting. Sakura replied, Naruto-sensei, what's wrong? Why are you panting like that? With a laugh, Zabuza drew a dagger with a blade that looked like green jade and said, because of this. Tazuna, Inari, and Tsunami all stared out the window as Kurenai shifted into a defensive position and asked, what is that? Zabuza continued, I don't know the name of this gem, but it's not jade like most would believe. In fact, it's the same gem as the Shodem Hokage necklace that Tsunade Senju wears. I've spent nearly every day since I heard about my brother's death searching for a way to injure the so-called Man of Steel there. I've heard how his skin was hard as steel and could break most weapons on contact. I heard about his heat vision and his ability to fly and his strength and every other little piece of information I could get my hands on about him, all for my revenge. After swallowing, Naruto uttered the words, what brother? I never killed anyone named Momochi before. Zabuza replied, because he took our mother's name. His name was Mucho. After hearing that name, Naruto went pale and took a quick look at Tazuna's house. Zabuza said, that's right, you know who he is now, don't you? He's the man you killed on this pathetic island more than a year ago. As he collapsed to his knees, Naruto uttered, panting, shut up. If you want to kill me, then do it, but leave everyone else here alone and let the dead finally find peace. Zabuza replied, oh, and why should I do that? What are you trying to protect? As he collapsed to his hands, Naruto uttered, the girl, the hunter nin, she's alive. You want her? You can have her. Just shut up and kill me, and you can have her. Just shut up. Zabuza looked behind his mask and replied, blood is thicker than water. The girl is nothing more than a tool to be used and discarded. My revenge, however, will be served by not only killing you but breaking you. You want me to be silent, so that means someone here you don't want to know the truth. Now who could it be? The little Genin's doubtful. I doubt they can even piss without having someone hold their hands, so information about someone they never met wouldn't be worth it. The Ice Queen, possible, but I doubt it. I heard she was grass country around the time my brother came here, so that leaves the little family in the house. Now what could you possibly not want them to know about my brother? According to Kurenai, your brother, he was an infiltration expert, wasn't he? She bit her lip. Zabuza laughed and replied, please. While his infiltration skills were good, it was his assassination skills that really got him credit. He had some famous one, but the most famous one that I think would hurt Superman would be the fact he was the killer of the daughter of the Wave Lord. Everyone's eyes widened at this point, except Naruto's, and he yelled, shut up. Seems I hit a nerve. Yeah, Mew was the one who killed the Wave Lord's daughter. That bastard Mizukage ordered him to kill the bitch because the Land of Wave and the Land of Fire were to merge together when the son of the Fire Lord married the Wave Lord's daughter, Zabuza said with a sly smile behind his bandages, making everyone gasp. Looks like that drunk was right. This gem really does make you weaker and weaker the longer you are near it. Don't even think it. Girls, look at the roof of the house. I got enough exploding tags on it to kill everyone in this clearing. Naruto saw Team 10 preparing to fight and threw a couple of weak shurikens at Zabuza, who laughed before leaping to another branch and saying, "Look at the roof of the house. I got enough exploding tags on it to kill everyone in this clearing." Slowly pushing himself to his feet, Naruto started to approach Zabuza. Zabuza then suddenly moved in front of Naruto and kicked him in the ribs, causing him to cough up blood as he flew back and collided with a tree. Zabuza replied, "Ah, that felt good, but don't worry, I plan to kill you nice and slow by stabbing this blade in your heart and breaking it inside just like you stabbed my brother with his broken blade in the heart." Zabuza looked at her and said, So that's it, huh? Tell me, girl, how did you get that ring?" Everyone's eyes widened at this point, and Tsunami gasped as she covered her mouth. As everyone turned to face Tsunami, who was examining her ring, Naruto muttered, "Don't tell him." Zabuza swung around and gave Naruto a face kick while yelling, "Shut up." Then, glaring at Tsunami, he turned and said, "Now answer me." With a stutter, Tsunami uttered, "Kyoza, he asked me to marry him and gave me this ring." After snorting and laughing uncontrollably, Zabuza cooled down and asked, "The kid there, is he yours?" Tsunami nods as Zabuza responds, "Tell me, did Kaiza save him after he had some kind of accident where he almost drowned, or maybe some kids bullying him, or he fall in some kind of cave nobody knowed about?" Zabuza chuckled as Tsunami's eyes widened a little, saying, "Oh god, Mew, you were right. Find a lonely bitch who's got a kid and play the hero card by saving the kid and its instant access to her home, body, and giving you the perfect alibi." Coughing up blood, Naruto said, "You wrong, Zabuza. Kaiza not your brother. I killed Kaiza because I was jealous and I killed your brother also." While holding his ribs, Zabuza ducked and slammed his elbow into Naruto's gut after he attempted to punch him. Kurenai was thinking, "Shit. What can I do? I know I'm no match for him and my team can't wait. Those aren't the girls, those are clones. Where is Team 10 at?" Zabuza turned and kicked Naruto in the face and said, "Nice try, asshole, but the proof's on her finger. That ring is the ring the Fire Lord's son had made for his fiancée. My brother took that ring from her cold dead hand because it's worth $4 million and was supposed to be used to pay Gato for his help. He was sent here to not only stop the union of the Land of Wave but also weaken Wave so Kiri could send in ninja to take over the island. And he almost succeeded. He riled up the people of Wave and had them going to the warehouse where he claimed Gato men were taking over when in fact Gato had the Wave Lord's entire army of samurai there along with Gato security forces waiting to kill all of them. After they would have died, Kiri would have came in and seized control of Wave and Gato would become the chief shipping company between Kiri and Wave, but then you had to ruin it by killing my brother." As he grabbed Naruto by the neck, lifting him up and stabbing Naruto in the stomach with the green blade. Zabuza pulled it out and repeatedly stabbed Naruto after he screamed as he felt himself being stabbed. As she ran toward Zabuza, Tsunami, who was crying as she recalled everything that had happened and now heard the truth, yelled, "Stop it, leave him alone." As Zabuza turned to them and yelled, "You want to scream?" Kurenai, who had started making hand signs, stopped and leapt in front of Tsunami, pulling her back as he put his hand in a seal and exclaimed, "Boom," he said, "scream watching your son die." A kunai struck Naruto in the arm as he was doing this, and he vanished in a cloud of smoke, while everyone else waited for the explosion that never materialized. At that moment, a kunai shouted from the left side of the house, "Kage Kuniya no Jutsu." Zabuza drew his sword and blocked the kunais, but he was startled when his sword went up in smoke, and he leapt out of the way of the other kunais. Using hand signals, Zabuza turned and uttered the words, "Water style, Water Dragon Jutsu." The water dragon started moving in the direction of the house. Everyone was shocked when Ino, who was on the house's roof, leapt at the dragon and struck it, causing it to burst into a shower of electricity and water. Before jumping on the tiny stream in front of Tazuna's house and flashing through hand signs, Zabuza said, "A Raiden Bunshin." He then said, "Hidden Mist Jutsu. Now you can't use Raiden Jutsu or you will take the chance of hitting your client and allies," Zabuza said from within the mist. When Sakura yelled, "Earth Style, Mud River Jutsu," the ground Zabuza was on turned to mud, and he started to be pushed toward the trees, where Ino jumped out, flashing through hand signs, and said, "Lightning Armor no Jutsu." Hinata said, "Mizubunshin no Jutsu." As the mist started to clear, 20 water clones of Hinata formed and charged at Zabuza, who then charged them. When Zabuza heard this, he took his place, and Hinata threw a kunai at him while flashing hand signals and saying, "Kage kunai no jutsu." When Ino threw a kunai and said, "Kage kunai no jutsu," Zabuza leapt to the ground and was attacked by the Hinata water clones. Then, as her kunais struck the Hinata Mizubunshin, they all exploded in water and electricity, and Zabuza screamed as his left arm was struck by electricity. Sakura, who was above him, then yelled, "Kage kunai no jutsu," and he replaced himself, saying, "Damning the fucking Kage kunai no jutsu." Screaming, Hinata said, "Shino now." When Hinata screamed, Zabuza turned to face her and felt something crawling on him. When he looked down and saw bugs crawling on him, he realized what was happening and jumped into the water below. A kunai struck him in the back, then in the left and right arms from 3 different directions. He screamed as he was imprisoned in a water prison, with electricity flowing through his left arm and Kaden chakra through his right, before he passed out. With their swords drawn, the 3 girls entered the water prison and stabbed him, Ino aiming for his brain, Sakura for his throat, and Hinata for his heart. They all killed him almost immediately. Kurenai thought, "I can't believe they just did that. They just killed an A-rank missing nin and saved all our lives." Wait, Team 8 was taken aback by this. "Where is Naruto?" "He's sealed in this," Hinata said as she turned and hurried to the kunai next to the tree Naruto had been on. "We must quickly get him to a location where we can start treating him." "Fuck the bitch," said Ino. "Bring sensei in and begin to care for him. Tell them to ride to the Hokage if they are having issues." She grabbed it and fled into the woods, saying, "I'm going to get this fucked up kunai out of here since it seems to hurt sensei." When Inari yelled, "Stop," Hinata started to dash into the house. He blocked the door and said, "Let him die." As Tsunami put it, "Inari, move." Inari said, blinking, "But mom." "No, Inari," Tsunami said, "I'll explain later, but get moving right away." Kiba exclaimed, "What the hell just happened?" as Inari hurriedly moved, glaring at Hinata and Sakura before Shino reappeared in the clearing. As Kurenai put it, "I want to know that as well." Team 10 created a clone each to replace themselves while they reached the roof and disarmed the exploding notes. "After I cast a genjutsu over their area," Yakumo stated. Zabuza saw the chakra usage at that point and believed they were the ones using it, so he threatened them. Shino continued, "I had placed a tracking bug on each of them and they realized it and sent a message to me with one of my bugs to wait for their signal and then have them start draining chakra from Zabuza. I don't know exactly what happened after that," Yakumo said. "I have never witnessed such teamwork to weaken and trap Zabuza. They attacked one another." With a shout, Sakura said, "Hey, we need some help. Until Ino returns, we need someone to apply pressure to that bottom cut so he doesn't bleed to death while we heal his other injuries," Sakura said as Kurenai entered the room and saw Naruto lying on the floor with Hinata on one side and Sakura on the other, both of their hands glowing green. Kuriani put her hand on his stomach right away, then turned to face Naruto, who was very pale. She scowled when she noticed that Tazuna had burned him the day before, thinking, he pretended that he wasn't hurt at all when his skin was burned like that. She looked at Tsunami, who was seated at the kitchen table with Inari on her lap, and asked, "Why were you hiding the truth? Do you care for Tsunami that much?" After a few minutes, Ino came back, perspiring, and said, "Report." Sakura stated, "He has been stabbed multiple times, but as far as I can tell, his vitals were unharmed. However, his intestines were severely cut, and stomach acid has seeped out of them. He still has a stab wound that is bleeding and leaking stomach acid, but we have closed one wound each and are working to remove the acid before it causes too much harm." "All right," Ino said. Hinata begins examining the organs surrounding the stomach to check for any wounds from the acid or blade. Check the crystal for any slivers as well since it was almost as brittle as glass. A piece might have broken off in one of the wounds. As she moved Kurenai's hand, her hands began to glow green with medical chakra. "Sakura, take over acid patrol on Hinata wound also while I fix this last wound," she said. All 3 of the girls were on the verge of fainting after almost 20 minutes, and Sakura declared, "That's all we can do. The majority of the harm has either been repaired or contained." "You 3 did a fantastic job. Go get some rest," Kurenai said. "You deserved it." All 3 nod, and Tsunami remarked, "We got beds you could use." Sakura and Ino dozed off on the floor, while Hinata remained there. "We don't trust you," Hinata said. She struggled to stay awake, saying, "You might try and kill Sensei." "How did you 3 do that?" Kiba asked. "Please, keep quiet," Hinata said. "I have PMS, a headache, and exhaustion. Your balls will be severed and pushed down your throat by me." Kiba hurried away as everyone stared at Hinata in disbelief, thinking, "It's always the quiet ones you have to look out for." The following day, Naruto was sleeping on a bed that Tsunami had given him, and Kurenai was watching over him while Sakura, Ino, Hinata, Kiba, Shino, and Yakumo were at the bridge protecting Tazuna and Inari, who couldn't bear to be in the house with Naruto. Bringing a tray of food, Tsunami ascended the stairs and inquired, "How is he?" According to Kurenai, he seems to be recovering as his wounds are healed, but he lost a lot of blood as well as the damage he received from Zabuza. Why did he get so weak like that from that blade? Tsunami scowled. After a few moments, Kurenai turned to face Naruto and inquired, "Why are you here?" With a blink, Tsunami said, "Pardon me, I live here." "Sorry, I meant to ask why you were being kind to him," Kurenai said. Laughing, "I assumed you had no desire to interact with him." Biting her lip, Tsunami turned to face the ring on her hand and uttered, "There is a chance that I could be wrong about what was really going on. I need to know his side of the story." "I wish you luck there," Kurenai said. "Ever since he first saw your father and your father attacked him, I've been attempting to obtain it." As his eyes widened, Tsunami exclaimed, "He what?" "You see that burn? Your dad picked up a log out of the fire and hit Naruto with it. Naruto just stood there and took it after your dad stabbed him with a broken sake bottle," Kurenai said, pointing to the scar on Naruto's chest. "On both occasions, someone else attempted to stop your dad, but Naruto told them to give Tazuna the freedom to do as he pleased. He freely and openly acknowledged killing Kaiza, and he said he would do it again if given the chance." "Who is he really?" Tsunami asked, biting her lip. I thought he was this cute little teen when he was here before, but now I'm not sure what to think." Kurenai stopped and replied, "Truthfully, I don't really know him. I know what I've been told by others I trust, and I know what I have seen of him and what my gut tells me, but I really don't know him." Tsunami responded, "Well, could you tell me what you can? I'm so confused." "Join the club," Kurenai said with a laugh. "I can tell you some of what I know, but I'm not sure if I want to kill him or just shake his hand and say thank you most of the time. His life has been difficult due to his parents' deaths in battle against the Kyuubi. He was adopted by the Sandaime as a child. He thought his adopted parents were his biological parents. His stepfather was killed in front of him when he was 5 years old, and his stepmother passed away when she gave birth to his younger brother when he was 4. Kurenai went on, "That night he learned from the man who killed his stepfather that he was in fact adopted, and then the assassin went to kill him, and by accident Naruto killed the assassin." Tsunami gasped and covered her mouth. "He was forced to become a ninja after that," Kurenai said, feeling a tug in her chest as Tsunami gazed at Naruto with astonishment and concern. He was learning fighting and killing skills while other children were learning tag, hide and seek. He advanced through the ranks rather quickly until his godfather arrived, took him from the village, and appointed him as his apprentice, but from what I've heard, that man emotionally and psychologically harmed him." Then Tsunami said, "How?" Kurenai claimed that while his godfather went out to get laid and for other reasons, he took him to whorehouses and left him in the lobby for hours or days. Imagine a youngster being made to witness prostitutes using their bodies and seduction techniques on any man who enters or passes by. According to what I've been told, someone attempted to help him overcome his distaste for women, and as a result, he now only sees women in 4 categories: mothers, kunoichi, whores, and their clients. When Tsunami bit her lip, Kurenai remarked, "That was until he met you." Blinking, Tsunami questioned, "What do you mean?" "I don't know for sure, but based on what happened yesterday and what I was told by a friend who was in Wave when you and him met, he thought you were different. I'm not sure how or why, but based on what I was told, he had a crush on you, or perhaps he loved you, but he seemed very adamant about keeping the truth about whatever happened from you." Kurenai turned to face Naruto, "Probably to keep you safe." Tsunami clenched her hands into her dress and said, "What do you mean? I'm so confused." Kurenai said, After glancing at her as he lay there with his eyes half-lidden, Naruto's voice startled them by saying, "Because you were different from every woman I knew until then." Both women blushed and turned to face him. Kurenai stood up and said, "I'll give you some privacy." She glanced back and forth. "No," said Naruto, "I kept my word and told you the truth. Keeping my secrets is useless now that Zabuza has revealed so much about what happened to him." Kurenai replied, "Your team and some of mine worked together and killed him." Naruto remarked, "I see. I suppose I can begin by explaining why I was in Wave in the first place. My group was dispatched here to look into the Wave Lord's daughter's murder. On my first mission as team captain, my team looked into the body and discovered that the only thing that had been touched was that she had been stabbed in the neck while she was sleeping, and that the person who had killed her had taken her engagement ring. Since there was nothing else that could be used to identify her killer, we started looking for information about the ring or anyone else who might have been suspicious. Since there wasn't much to do, I ordered my team to disperse and explore a different area of the island. I came to help you get your groceries in your bag when I was looking around in my civilian clothes and noticed that your bag had fallen apart. I don't usually talk to women, but I was taught to be polite, so I didn't think much of it when I offered to help, and I was going to leave as soon as I could to return to work. However, you offered to let me eat with your family, and I saw Inari, so I assumed you would fit the bill as a mother. I trust mothers in general since they will usually do anything to take care of their children and look out for their well-being, and since you were trusting me as a stranger with your children's safety at risk, I trusted you. Playing with Inari reminded me of playing with my brother Konohamaru, and being a guest I wanted to not be a burden, so I offered to help with the dishes. In talking with you and Tazuna and Inari, I felt content. I never been fishing before, and when Inari asked me to go, I felt for the first time I could be normal in the way you treated me, not as a child, not as a ninja or a John. The first started to feel something. I didn't know what it was, but the more time around you and your family, the more happy I felt. I actually forgot about my mission and about being a ninja. For a few days I felt like normal. I made a vow to myself that I would do whatever it took to protect that feeling. Then when Kaiser returned and I saw how happy you were when he asked you to marry you, I knew that this wasn't my place, that you didn't need me to protect your happiness. I had intended to fabricate a story about my godfather's arrival and departure, but when you showed me the ring the following day, I was reminded of reality. As Kurenai looked on, Tsunami bit her lip, and Naruto remarked, I had a million ideas. Perhaps he bought it, perhaps he found it, or perhaps it wasn't the right ring. I had a lot on my mind, but I had to be prepared for the worst, so I asked him where he got it. He told me it was a family heirloom, which made him my top suspect. I didn't want to ruin your happiness, so I started to watch him. I called my team, and then they received a message saying the Wave Lord wanted to see us. When we got to his palace, Gato was there, and Gato informed the Wave Lord that his men had seen you wearing the ring and that the hero of Wave had given it to you. I almost caused an internment incident when I told him no, but he was so angry that he ordered his men to kill me. I quickly told him that if we killed you and captured Kaiza, we would lose the only lead we had to find his daughter's killer, which is what we were there to do. He was worried that someone would wear the ring that belonged to his only child. He grudgingly accepted my response even though he didn't like it. However, I knew we were running out of time before he sent his own men to kill you, so I had one of my team members question Kaiza in order to keep you from knowing that he obtained the ring in a game of poker against Gato men. Kaiza told her that he had lied to her about it. Kaiza informed her that it was one of Gato's bodyguards when she inquired about which man it was. But if it was one of his guard, then, Tsunami inquired. Please, let me finish, Naruto said, holding up his hand. My team of course went to investigate this, but we were called back to the Wave Lord's palace again, and Gato was there. He said that Kaiza had been gathering the Wave people and attacking his warehouses, and that she was requesting protection from the Wave Lord. The Wave Lord, still overcome with grief, wanted an example set, so he kept bringing up the fact that Kaiza, the man who had his daughter's ring, was leading the populace in rebellion against Wave's peace. He gave Gato 2/3 of his guards and gave my team the order to accompany Gato in killing everyone who had attacked the warehouse and using them as an example to show what would happen to anyone who had plotted against him. I returned here and waited for Kaiza because I had to know the truth. However, when Gato asked you and your family to get the people of Wave to help him, I lost all hope that he was mistaken. I knew that if you all made it to the warehouse, you would all be killed, so I defied orders and confronted you all before you even reached the warehouse, where the rest of my team and more than 400 men were waiting to massacre you. I frantically tried to get you to stop and turn around, but Kaiza claimed that I was the one attacking people. When he did, I noticed something I had never noticed before. He started to shape his chakra when he attacked me. He used a weapon that had been enhanced with chakra to make it easier to kill us, something a ninja was trained to do. Since I knew at the time that he wasn't who he claimed to be, I followed my training and killed him just like any other ninja I had encountered in combat. Naruto remarked, it wasn't until I heard your scream that I remembered the crowd and you. When you attacked me I felt every hit, but your words hurt me more than anything else had ever done before. I became a coward and ran, as Tsunami was crying and Kurenai was looking on sorrowfully. I told Gato and his men that I had killed the mob leader and gave the order for my team to abort. I then went to the Lord of Wave and informed him that I had located the person who had killed his daughter and had killed him in battle, but I had destroyed his body. Gato pulled out a bingo book and told the Wave Lord that I was lying when I told him that Kaiza was just a man who won a ring in a card game, believing it to be an inexpensive piece of jewelry that he could give you as an engagement ring. I also told him that the ring wouldn't bring back his daughter, so he should let you keep it. When he turned to a page in the bingo book, he saw a picture of Kaiza and read that he was a water ninja. I made a fool of him, he told the Wave Lord, and the only reason I wanted you to keep the ring was so I could have it for myself. I accused him of lying, and the Wave Lord said he believed Gato after reading the book and hearing what Gato had to say. He threatened to test my claims, saying that if the ring vanished or you passed away, he would sever all connections to my village and the land of fire and, if you were still alive, kill you and your family then, wanting retribution. He granted Gato total authority over the land of waves so that he could punish the wave people for plotting against him and aiding in the murder of his daughter. Then he gave me and my group the order to depart right away. There was nothing I could do, Naruto said, closing his eyes. If I told you the truth, you and your family would be killed because you wouldn't want the ring. He turned his head away and said, all I could do was let you keep the memory of the man you fell for and let you hate me for taking him away. I couldn't face you knowing the pain I caused you, and I couldn't defy the Wave Lord's orders or my village and country would suffer. With her eyes closed, Tsunami stood up, turned around, and left the room without a word, but Naruto heard the tears fall to the ground and felt his heart ache with each one. Kurenai looked at Naruto after she had left and said, I'm sorry. Naruto took a breath and replied, no, it's me who should be sorry. I let my emotions get the best of me and because of that the people of Wave have suffered under Gato control. What good is having all these powers if all I do is cause pain to the innocent? Kurenai thought, and to the ones you care for. I think I understand you a little better now, Naruto. If you want someone to talk to, I'm here for you. I'm going to check on our teams and make sure nobody killed Kiba yet, Kurenai said, standing up and placing her hand on his shoulder. Yes, I'll be fine, Naruto said with a laugh. I'll simply lie down and relax. When Kurenai saw Tsunami cutting some vegetables in silence, she nodded and left the room, saying, I'm going to go to the bridge and check on the teams. How long are you going to be gone so I know when to start dinner? Tsunami asked, biting her lip. Probably a couple of hours, Kuriani said. Will you be okay? I want my team to practice water walking and see if the Naruto team is aware of it. Tsunami replied, yeah, it's hard to find out the person you hated loved you so much and the person you loved only used you. I'm confused. As Kurenai put it, I wish I knew what to tell you. Tsunami said, it's okay, life moves on. My son and father are with me. After placing her hand on Tsunami's shoulder, Kurenai walked away. When Naruto heard footsteps, he was sleeping and thought, Tsunami. While Naruto waited to see what Tsunami wanted, the door could have squeaked a million times. The room's door opened, Tsunami entered, and it was silently closed. It would be an understatement to say that he was taken aback when he felt something brush against his lips because he felt a second, stronger kiss. Naruto opened his eyes to see Tsunami's face, and she leaned down to kiss him again. He initially returned the kiss reluctantly, but then with more emotion until they were kissing passionately. As she stood up, Naruto felt her pull away and turned to face her. He then grabbed her dress's shoulders and shoved them over until her dress hit the ground, which made his eyes widen and he muttered, uncertainly, Tsunami. Tsunami grinned and replied, you care for me and went through so much pain because of it that I want to show you that it wasn't wasted for nothing. Please let me make love to you. With his mouth dry, Naruto uttered, it's me who should be asking if I can make love to a beautiful woman like you. Tsunami blushed and said, well, you can. She leaned in to give him a kiss while softly crawling on the bed. When Team 8 and 10 brought Tazuna and Inari back a few hours later, Inari yelled, Mom, where are you? And started to look around. Your mom is asleep, Inari, and Naruto-sensei is too, Hinata said, her eyes widening as she activated her bloodline for the night. They should be left alone. I'll make dinner, she said, her face flushed. Inari observed Kurenai blinking and remarked, but she's not in her room. Well, she just passed out making sure Naruto doesn't die, Kurenai said, his eyes widening as he thought, oh my, that's correct, Hinata. With gratitude, Hinata replied, yes sensei, but why is she concerned whether he dies or not? Inari asked. He murdered Kaiza. Inari Kaiza deceived us all. Tazuna sighed. The children who killed your dog were employed by Kaiza. He took advantage of us to hide the fact that he had murdered the Wave Lord's daughter as he was paid to protect us. Naruto must have discovered his crimes and killed him, killing Gato and his men in the process. We do it, Kurenai stated. We carry out our paid tasks, and Naruto was compensated to track down and apprehend the Wave Lord's daughter killer. Inari stated, so he's not a bad guy but a good guy. I think you mom, now that she knows the truth, thinks he a very good guy, Tazuna said, grinning perversely as he looked up at the ceiling. After Kiba's eyes widened in comprehension, Shino remarked, be smart for once and keep your mouth shut, Kiba. It made Kiba think, who the hell did I piss off to be the idiot? When Naruto woke up the following morning, he was by himself in bed and a faint smile appeared on his face as he recalled what had happened the day before. He winced as he sat up, thinking, shit, my stomach. When he heard a knock on the door, he said, come in. Hello Naruto. How are you doing? Kurenai said as she opened the door. I'm still recovering. The majority of my stomach muscles have been severely damaged, Naruto stated. Until I can receive appropriate medical care, I won't be doing anything significant. Kurenai replied, oh really, so you can't do much? Tsunami sure seems to think you can. I was a log most of the time, Naruto said. Flushed, she worked so hard for me, but I was unable to do much, so I feel bad about that. Where is everyone? At the bridge, Kurenai said. Like almost everyone else in Wave, Tsunami went to the bridge to help their country. When he noticed the ring on the nightstand, Naruto grinned briefly before scowling and asking, Kurenai, how many people know about me being here? Not many. I think I can't really say, Kurenai remarked. I need you to keep everyone as quiet as possible about me being here, especially injured like I am, Naruto said. Biting his lip. There is still danger for Tsunami and her family. When Kurenai realized what he meant, she began to speak, but she stopped and said, the Wave Lord. There's more going on here than you know, Naruto said, nodding. In addition to what I mentioned yesterday, I need you to make sure Tsunami continues to wear that ring there until the bridge is finished, because it is crucial that it be finished at all costs. I am aware of a location in Wave where I can conceal myself. I want everyone to believe that I've been called back until the bridge is completed. You must be in charge of my girls. Could you please do that for me? I can, but you have to explain why, Kurenai said. This is going to hurt Tsunami. I've already resigned to a life of her hating me. As long as she lives, if I stay she will be killed, and if I tried to stop it then it could cost Konoha a lot of trouble, Naruto said, closing his eyes after giving her a final glance. Kurenai said, fine, but you owe me, with a frown. Kurenai moved to Naruto's side, helped him up, and said, you really should rest, Naruto. Naruto winced as he tried to get up, saying, thank you, now I need to go before everyone returns. After he got up, Naruto remarked, don't you know, I'm Superman. Kurenai took hold of his arm and remarked, no matter how unique you are still only human. Don't waste your life on foolishness. With a sorrowful smile, Naruto said, thank you. He then proceeded to the window, opened it, and started to slowly fly out of it. After he left, Kurenai sighed and sat on the bed, thinking, so much trouble for a stupid rock. She gazed at the ring, but it was unclear to her whether she was referring to the ring or the asteroid. When everyone returned to Tazuna's house that afternoon, Sakura inquired, how is Naruto-sensei doing? Kurenai-sensei. I'm afraid that Naruto has been recalled for another matter since the immediate threat is over with Gato and his men dead, Kurenai said. Setting down the glass of water he was drinking on the table, he asked me to lead his group until he got back or the mission was over. Additionally, he requested that I send you a private message, Tsunami. Ino replied, but Sensei was still injured and shouldn't even be traveling. I understand, but we can't always be at 100% for a mission, Kurenai remarked. Regardless of your condition, you may occasionally return from a mission wounded and be forced to depart right away. That seemed to make everyone unhappy, so Tsunami said, please go ahead and tell me what he said, Kurenai-san, so I could start preparing dinner. Kurenai replied, I already prepared dinner and it should be finished soon, but are you sure you want to hear it here and not in private? No, Tsunami said. There is no need to try to conceal what transpired between me and him last night because everyone here is already aware of it. Kurenai replied, very well. He asked me to remind you about what the Wave Lord's test was about, his character. After blinking, Tsunami's eyes widened and she uttered, I think I understand what you're talking about. According to Kurenai, he asked me to have you continue as you would have if he had not shown up and the truth being revealed, as well as keep what happened between you and him a secret from others until the bridge is finished. It was a little more than that, but you get the general idea. I don't want to, but I will only until the bridge is finished, Tsunami said, closing her eyes. According to Kurenai, that was all he asked. So what should we do, Kurenai-sensei? Hinata asked. After giving it some thought, Kurenai turned to face Team 10 and asked, how are you three on Genjutsu? 2 weeks after the bridge's completion, the final portion of the cement had just been placed. There, it's finally finished, Tazuna said, removing his hat and using a rag he took from his pocket to wipe the perspiration from his head. Wave will never again be susceptible to the manipulation of a malevolent figure like Gato. Everyone's attention was drawn when a voice from above said, I couldn't agree more, Tazuna. Everyone looked up, and several gasped when they saw Naruto floating 20 feet above the bridge. Naruto had his arms crossed, and several people screamed and cursed at him. One man asked, what are you doing here, monster? After he had been motionless for 10 minutes and the crowd had somewhat subsided. Everyone turned to face the Wave Lord and a number of his samurai as they stood at the end of the bridge after hearing another voice say, that is something I want to know, as well as I seem to recall banishing you from these lands. When they saw him standing there and heard the murmurs, Naruto remarked, you seem to have forgotten something very important. According to the agreement you made with the Fire Lord prior to the murder of your daughter, Wave Country became a part of the Land of Fire as soon as this bridge was connected to it. It now reports to the Fire Lord. All I have to do is wait for the Fire Lord to show up in less than 5 minutes so I can see his new colony. That agreement was only filled if my daughter had married the Fire Lord's son, which she didn't since she was murdered by that so-called hero Kaiza, the Wave Lord said, causing everyone's eyes to widen except for Tazuna. That woman's finger there is the evidence my daughter's engagement ring was removed from her corpse. Many of the Wave people wanted to shout that the Wave Lord was wrong, but they refrained out of fear for their lives because they couldn't believe what they were hearing. Look at yourself, Wave Lord, Naruto said. The same monster who ordered me and my team to kill Tazuna and his family, the same monster who ordered me and my team to kill everyone heading to Gato's warehouse that day, the same man who gave Gato orders to make these people suffer by taxing them to death, blocking their island, selling those who couldn't pay into slavery, and killing anyone who opposed Tama. Do you think your daughter would have wanted you to become the monster you are today? I acknowledge that I killed Kiyoza, but I only did so to save the lives of all the people who were waiting at the warehouse that day with an army of more than 400 men prepared to kill them. In a game of cards, Kiyoza defeated Gato's men to win that ring. Gato tricked you, so you didn't listen to what I tried to tell you. You wouldn't listen to me when I told you that I had killed your daughter's true killer. When they went to stop Gato, men who Kiyoza had witnessed attacking the actual warehouse owner and forcing him to sign it over to Gato, I was forced to choose between killing one innocent man and allowing hundreds to perish. I have made my statement of the events that transpired here. Fire-sama, you are now the legitimate ruler of these people since this bridge was finished and is the symbol that your son and future daughter-in-law have chosen to represent their union. Please decide what needs to be done right now. This is an outrage, declared the Wave Lord as everyone turned to see Naruto bowing and the Fire Lord, several samurai, and fire guardians. The Fire Lord is powerless to influence. The Fire Lord said, "Be quiet, Wave-san. My former fire guard has already forwarded to me the agreement you signed with Gato, which gives him the authority to tax and blockade these individuals. You are a distraught father. I understand how painful it must be for you, but you have no right to inflict this kind of suffering on those I see in front of me. I will not permit you to continue down this path because your daughter would not want that and she will not remember it. In honor of your late daughter, I, the new Lord of Wave, hereby christen this bridge the Tsunami Bridge, like a tidal wave erasing their sorrow. May her name bring prosperity to these people." "No," cried the Wave Lord, "kill them, kill these people." As a representative of the Fire Lord and a ninja hired to protect the bridge builder, I will not allow you to pass, Naruto said as he appeared in front of the samurai, who started to draw their weapons. When the Wave Lord said, "Kill this man first," the samurai moved swiftly and attempted to kill Naruto. At the word as Cruciala tried, the blades shattered or broke as they came into contact with Naruto's skin. Naruto asked, "What are your orders, your lordship?" When everyone saw this, the Fire Lord responded, "Wave-san, please stand down. I will allow you to keep your guards so they may guard you in your home so that you may finally mourn your daughter's passing in peace, but you and they are not allowed to cause any more harm to these people." The Wave Lord scowled and glanced at his uncertain-looking men before turning to face the Wave people on the bridge. When his gaze fell on Tsunami and the ring she was wearing, he drew a dagger and yelled, "I'll kill you," before charging at her. As the Wave Lord rushed by, Naruto remained motionless and closed his eyes. He was about to be intercepted by Team 10 when Naruto commanded, "Stand down, team." Tsunami was only 5 feet away from the Wave Lord when Naruto suddenly materialized in front of her and used the dagger to seize the Wave Lord's hand. With his eyes still closed and his back to Tsunami, Naruto said, "Tsunami-san, I sincerely apologize for the suffering I caused you both when I killed your fiancé and ever since to these people. He was a hero and a wonderful man. Will you permit the symbol of love your fiancé copyright gave you to return to its original family so that this bereaved father can find some closure? I know you cannot forgive me, and I have no right to ask you this." Then Tsunami thought, so this is why he wanted me to keep wearing it. He's taking the blame and keeping Kiyoza's honor, but why? Oh, he's doing it so the people of Wave don't blame me or my family. She took the ring off her finger and said, "I sincerely apologize for your loss, your lordship. Even from the man I was to marry, I would never have accepted this ring if I had known it was your daughter's." First she bowed and held out the ring, saying, "I hope that this ring can bring you peace and comfort for the rest of your life as it has brought me since the day Kiyoza died." When he heard Naruto's words and then Tsunami's statement, the Wave Lord, who had been staring at Naruto, scowled. He then turned to face the ring, took a deep breath to calm himself, and said, "Thank you." He accepted the ring after Naruto released his hand. Then, with his samurai guards following him, he turned and started to leave in silence. "All right, Said the Fire Lord, I believe Wave residents have cause for celebration in order to help you all get back on your feet. I will be sending 3 caravans here with food and supplies over the course of the next month. As the audience cheered, Naruto said in a whisper, I sincerely apologize for everything, to Tsunami. With a smile, Tsunami whispered, I already forgave you. With a small smile, Naruto said, I have to leave now, I have responsibilities elsewhere. As Tsunami put it, I know, will I ever see you again? Says Naruto. Perhaps. As Naruto started to fly away and float in midair, Tsunami grinned. Tsunami was approached by Kurenai, who said, You're just going to let him go? Tsunami stated, He's a hero, and a hero always rides off into the sunset in search of the next damsel in distress. With a thought of, maybe you're right, Kurenai gazed at the silhouette of Naruto fading into the sunset.
That's it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed this great story. See you in the next one.